Thanks everybody for coming. We're going to get started with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would like a motion to approve the agenda for December 21st, 2023 as presented. Cook. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
Have it.
Can I make a comment? I just want to make sure the reason I'm voting no is that I'm really tired of all the different things coming on at the last minute without sharing it with the other board members, that we have adequate time to look at things.
Can we have our
So
microphones?
I just want to make that known. That's why I'm not approving this agenda. To have a change of an item agenda put on at 6 o'clock last night is really not fair to any of us.
Can I make a comment?
Can you start again? We didn't hear.
I learned at the same time that the public did, and I have no issue with it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said I learned at the same time that the public did. I was not given any forenotice, and I don't have any issue with it. Thank you.
So I'm just letting everybody know that I voted no tonight because I'm really tired of agenda items coming up at the last minute and everybody getting a chance. Everybody getting a chance to look at things and make some comments. So that is why I voted no.
Next, we have special recognitions. And Jules.
Thank you, President Bertrand. Tonight we have the honor of recognizing the Francis Howell High School Vikings softball team for bringing home their first state championship title this fall. And I'm going to turn it over to Howell High's Activities Director, Sean Irwin, to tell you more about the team.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here to share the incredible achievements of our softball team this fall. It's indeed been an exciting fall for our programs at Howell. We had 4 programs this fall that reached the Final Four. We had our softball program, we had girls volleyball, we had cheer, and we also had girls golf. So a great fall for our program, and also over the course of a 6-day period, we also had 2 programs reach the state championship game, which was our softball program and our girls volleyball program. So very... I'm particularly proud to highlight the outstanding accomplishments of our softball program that I think further show that our program is about so much more than just success in our activities and sports. Not only have they excelled on the field, but they've also demonstrated excellence in the classroom and have made an impact in our community through their service. The team that won the state championship this year has a cumulative high school GPA of 3.97, showcasing their commitment to academic success at Howell. In addition to their academic achievements, the softball team has also exemplified our activities department goal of serving and supporting our community through outreach. This season, they raised over $1,500 for the Friends of Kids with Cancer organization, and over the past 10 years have raised over $15,000 for the organization that is a national organization but has also benefited many kids within our own district. Very, very proud of that, very proud of the dedication and the positive difference that they're making in the lives within our district. On the field, the softball team's performance was really unmatched this season. With a 27-6 record, they won a district championship, reached the Final Four for the 2nd straight year, and also reached the state championship game for the 2nd straight year. Facing Blue Springs South in the state championship game, they were facing the number 2 ranked team in the country, who only had 2 losses from the same out-of-state team. The Vikings emerged with an impressive 8-0 win. What makes this achievement even more special is that for the first time in program history, they won a state championship. Also, for the first time in program history, they finished the year nationally ranked. Our softball program is ranked number 6 in the nation to end the season. The success of the program and their accomplishments was also recognized on the floor of the U.S. Congress on November 2nd as well. The Howell Activities Department, the softball program, would like to extend sincere gratitude to our Howell community, to everyone that supported all of our programs throughout the fall. I think it just further highlights the great effect our programs have not only on our school and our district, but also on our community. The success of the softball team is definitely a part of a bigger picture that we have a great group of students, parents, staff, community members that have supported this program the whole way through. So very proud of this group and the way that they've represented Howell and our district and our community, and very proud of their accomplishments. And tonight they wanted to present to our board some state championship t-shirts, just in their appreciation of your support.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, so proud of you guys. Do you like it right next to my cookie? How you doing? Again, same order you were before.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, we don't work. Same, right? We know it works.
We like it.
Hey, we got another, isn't this nice? Yeah. I hope I help. Here, should I have
I don't think that.
Can you see it? All right, perfect. One more.
All right, and next up is our student board representative. And as you know, the purpose of the student board rep program is to honor and recognize talented students, elevate student voice, and provide growth opportunities in the areas of public speaking, leadership, and governance. Students are selected for this honor by their principal with input from the student body. They have an opportunity to prepare and deliver a short speech to the board and public that is focused on their school or the district. And with that, I'll invite Dr. Suzanne Leek, the principal of Francis Howell Central High School, to introduce our student board rep for this evening.
Good evening, President Bertrand and members of the board. It is with great pleasure that I introduce our distinguished student representative serving with the Board of Education this evening, Mr. Sean Latta. Sean is a senior at Francis Howell Central, and he is accompanied tonight by his parents, Oliver and Amy, and his younger brother, Ryan. Sean's academic journey is deeply rooted in the Francis Howell School District, where he has spent all 14 years of his education embodying the district's commitment to excellence. Sean's educational voyage began at the age of 4 in Francis Howell School District at Meadows Parkway Early Childhood Center, followed by Warren Elementary, Sager Middle School, and culminating at Francis Howell Central High School. His cumulative GPA of a 4.2 attests not only to his scholastic aptitude, but also to his unwavering dedication to academic success. In addition to his achievements in the classroom, Sean has been an integral part of our first-class band program at FHC. As a freshman, he was awarded Most Outstanding New Marcher. His junior year, he served as a section leader, showcasing his leadership skills within the marching band. And for his final year, he was named one of the 2 drum majors by his classmates and directors, further exemplifying his commitment to musical excellence. Sean's involvement in STEM camps during the summers of his elementary years, along with his participation in AP Camp during middle school, reflects his curiosity and engagement in diverse fields. His coursework during his tenure at FHC has included multiple AP classes, as well as 2 years of study in the computer science and cybersecurity strand of Project Lead the Way courses, demonstrating his forward-thinking approach to education. Outside of his academic pursuits, Sean has a deep passion for jazz music and eagerly anticipates playing in as many jazz gigs as possible. He is inspired by his father and his brother's ability to creatively arrange music and he credits his mother for instilling the practical skills in the field of music. Sean's academic journey extends beyond the borders of our district. He has been fortunate to benefit from unique opportunities provided by Francis Howell School District, such as attending the Joseph Baldwin Academy to study biomusicology. He was also afforded the opportunity to visit Kansas State for leadership training specifically designed for drum majors. These experiences have undoubtedly enriched his education and broadened his perspectives. Moving forward, Sean plans to utilize his skills in the field of cybersecurity, aspiring to defend the information systems of a Fortune 500 company. He thrives in a collaborative environment where problem solving is at the forefront of the work. As we welcome Sean to the board meeting this evening, it is my honor to celebrate his achievements, dedication, and the invaluable commitments and contributions he brings to our school community. We are proud to have him represent Spartan Nation, embodying the spirit of excellence that defines the Francis Howell School District. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Sean Latta.
Good evening, members of the board. Once again, my name is Sean. I'm a senior at Francis Howell Central High School, and I first want to say how honored I am for this opportunity. I spent most of my life in the Francis Howell School District. At a young age, I went to Meadows Parkway to help with a speech impediment that has drastically changed my ability to speak even here tonight. Throughout elementary school, I always just had a knack for learning. I deeply respected all of my teachers, all of my faculty there, and that carried on through elementary school, where I always wanted to pursue more academic avenues. In high school, I really do have to thank athletics and band. That would be Mr. Beckman, the coach of the baseball team, and Mr. Griffin and Mr. Steck, who are back there, who have led me through 4 years of the most wonderful time through marching band. Some great things that I love about this district and public school in general is that it's just such a great opportunity for you to meet so many new people. I am blessed to say that I have met just multitudes of friends, created so many friendships, everlasting memories with people that honestly I would not have met had I gone anywhere else. Through that, I have met people who have supported me through some of the toughest times in my life, people who have uplifted me when I've succeeded, who have been there for me when I'm down. And something beautiful about public school is that you're just getting to mix and mingle. I was pleased to be part of the advanced learning or gifted program throughout middle school and elementary school. And through that, you get to experience, another level of success academically. And I'm forever grateful for being able to participate in that avenue. Something else that allowed me to do was work with other special needs students. We would have about bi-weekly meetings with the special needs classrooms in our gifted classroom. And those kids just love to be there, man. I mean, they're having, even if, you may say they've been dealt the wrong hand in life, they just love to be with other people who are like them, growing as individuals who they will be able to have successful lives with the cards that they've been given. Something that only I think public school can offer. When you look at private schools, they will not be able to take everybody. That's just the way that the system works. They don't have enough money to be able to support every student that comes in there, and that would exclude some of my bestest friends that I've met through the special needs programs. Another great thing about public school is that the academics, the extracurricular activities. Obviously, you've heard that I've spent all 4 years in the marching band program, and something beautiful about that program that I think truly encapsulates all extracurricular activities is you're just putting in work and you're meeting new people. We would work, 2.5, 3 hours after school, basically every day for all of the first quarter. And what that has given me is a work ethic beyond anything else that could have given me. That work ethic has gone into my academic studies, my friendships, into my athletic career, where I play baseball pretty regularly, I would say, and into just every part of my life. I was blessed to be able to participate in that, to meet so many great, phenomenal people that have ranged from some of the smartest people I've known to some of just the funniest people I've known. I mean, those people, you're out there for, 10 plus hours a week with these kids. You're really getting to know them on a personal level, especially my senior year as drum major. I get to meet this freshman class, get to see their excitement in their eyes, being able to come into my high school and experience the same joys that I got to experience. And being able to teach them was just the best thing I've ever experienced. It was so rewarding to be able to see some of those kids, those first days of band camps and the very hot summers that we've had recently. And just being able to see them, help them, go talk to them, and being able to watch them grow, not only as a musician, but as a person. And watching them grow as a person, and there's nothing more rewarding than that. And I can only imagine that all of you have obviously seen that working here at the board. You've been able to work with some of those younger kids, some of those more challenged kids, and been able to go to them physically and watch them grow physically. It's a gift that you can't explain. It's hard to articulate just exactly just how rewarded I feel being able to do that. Another great thing that I love specifically about FHC is its academic programs. I'm very pleased to say every teacher, every staff member that I've worked with there, they're all so caring. They all love their job truly. And when you love your job, then you begin to love the people that you're working with and working for. And as you know, they're all working for the kids. And so once those kids, get into those classes, they truly can enjoy and experience another level of not only learning but care. Because truly, I would say that every person that I've worked with at Francis Howell Central has cared about me as a person, cared about my peers as a person, and cared about my classmates as a person. I'd also like to thank the wonderful people in the counseling office. I've struggled many times. Not only I've had some downs academically, but I've also had some down times mentally. I'm not afraid to admit that. That's something that I use as a personal strength of mine, is being able to grow, not only academically, but grow mentally, physically, and being able to work through some tough times. And the people in that guidance council have truly been able to get down and talk to me on a human level, work me through some of the toughest times of my life, not only emotionally, but academically. And I'm forever grateful for that opportunity. I'm trying to think, maybe one else thing I can say. I also love about our district is the almost natural high school competition. As you saw, Francis Howell, their softball team, has succeeded this last year, and there's something beautiful about you get to go to those basketball games, those football games, and you get to compete with those other kids. But then you get out of that, and you get into your academics, and then you become almost friends with those kids. I'm pleased to say that I know many people at both Francis Howell Central, Francis Howell North, and Francis Howell High. And those kids, although we do banter, we do have fun, making fun of each other for sports, we do truly care for those people. Once again, I'd like to thank Dr. Leek for this opportunity. I'm very pleased to be here tonight. Even if I don't change any of your minds about anything that might be on the agenda, I truly am here to give my full voice and full support in whatever decision is made tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sean. I'm Mrs. Stiglich. I am proud to be sitting next to you. On behalf of President Bertrand, Vice President Cook, and Treasurer Ms. Pushkar, we are really glad you're here. We would love to have your opinion and your on some of our agenda items tonight. So please feel free to chime in. You do have to turn on your little button in order for everybody to hear you. I found that out earlier again this morning and this evening. So we would love to hear you. You can do everything but vote. So welcome, and we are really, really glad you're here. If you have any questions during the meeting, just kind of lean over. I tend to listen to what you guys have to say. So we're excited you're here.
All right, next we're going to spotlight the Francis Howell Central Jazz Combo. I'll turn it back over to Ms.
Yeah, and while we don't have a formal slideshow for you tonight, I'm going to invite Dr. Leek back forward to tell you about the wonderful student musicians you were able to enjoy before the meeting.
It's my honor this evening to express my admiration and heartfelt appreciation for Central Jazz Combo. As you arrived and prepared for the evening, you heard 8 extremely talented jazz musicians from Francis Howell Central play incredible arrangements of familiar jazz songs. I'll introduce them for you along with their instruments. Their instrument they played this evening, because several of them play multiple instruments. Tony Valera is the leader of the group, and he played the bass. Brett, there you are, was on keyboard. Everett Scott was on drums. Nathaniel, I always get it wrong. Sorry, thank you. Twins get you every time. Nathaniel Matz, tenor sax. Sean Matz, Barry sax. Caden Scott, alto sax. Sean Latta, trumpet. And Cole Ott, trombone. Central Jazz Combo is completely student-led. They commit to staying after school every Wednesday to practice and create their own arrangements. These 8 young men that make up this skillful group are dynamic for all of the reasons. Additionally, they are also leaders in the classroom. As a group, they hold a cumulative GPA of 3.98. This exemplifies the balance they strike between their artistic pursuits and academic responsibilities. Their commitment to spreading joy through the universal language of music is nothing short of extraordinary. Every Friday morning before classes begin, their mesmerizing jazz tunes echo through the front foyer of our building. It has become a magnetic hub where students, staff, and guests congregate to enjoy the melodies that this group creates. They have turned Fridays into a day eagerly anticipated by all, adding a unique and vibrant energy to our school environment. It's truly inspiring to see them all play. The creativity they bring to their renditions of familiar jazz songs showcases not only their technical proficiency, but also their artistic innovation. Their performances are a true reflection of the passion and dedication each brings to the world of music. Thank you, Central Jazz Combo, for making Francis Howell Central a place where creativity, talent, and camaraderie thrive. Your contributions have not only enhanced the musical culture of our school, but also has created a welcoming atmosphere for everyone who walks through our doors.
All right, up next we have patron comments. During patron comments, residents of the district and staff members are invited to address the Board of Education on issues related to the school district. Speakers are called forward in the order of sign up, and each speaker has 3 minutes to make their remarks. Please remember that only one speaker is allowed at the podium at a time, and combining time or giving your time to someone else is not permitted. The board appreciates that you've taken the time to come this evening, and we value both your input and perspective. I would like to remind everyone that we expect the speakers will remain civil and respectful when giving remarks. If anyone fails to comply with those board policies, regulations, and rules, we reserve the right to cut those 3 minutes short. For your convenience, our 3 minutes is ready on the clock, and we welcome Tom Ferry to step forward.
Good evening, everyone. Allow me to provide a preview of tonight's board meeting. During patron comments, a majority will speak to the manufactured political culture wars the board continues to make a priority. These culture wars are not unique. They are being pushed nationally by groups such as Moms for Liberty, the anti-education group, who also endorsed all 5 of the conservative majority. We'll hear from another Moms for Liberty-like group who funded the campaigns of the board majority and who've been pushing baseless conspiracy theories in the district for years, including CRT, which we'll hear about tonight again, porn in libraries, which is ridiculous, and now litter boxes in bathrooms, which you didn't have any here, so great job, admin, all of which strain credulity. What you will not hear tonight, as I haven't heard all year, are any plans to address actual issues in the district. You won't hear any plans or solutions to address teacher attrition. Over the last 2 years, 300 teachers have left the district, 25% of the entire certified staff. 7% of those positions went unfilled due to no qualified applicants and are filled with retired teachers. Many teachers left for higher pay at Francis Howell because at Francis Howell, pay scales are about 5 to 10% lower than surrounding districts. 25% attrition is unsustainable for any organization, but even more so for schools, which rely on continuity and stability. Ironically, tapping into a diverse talent pipeline would be a great way to slow attrition, but what diverse staff wants to work in a district waging racial culture wars? You won't hear any plans or solutions to address transportation. About a month ago, Dr. Rumpus stated there were still over 600 outstanding bus stop changes being processed, but progress was slow because the transportation department is short-staffed and they're still fielding complaints. You won't hear any plans or solutions to address staffing shortages. We have a challenge attracting and retaining janitors and paras. Some schools even have a skeleton crew of janitors to do just the basics, relying on teachers and staff to pick up the slack. The salary scales for janitors and paras are, you guessed it, less than surrounding districts. You won't hear any plans or solutions to address our substitute shortage. Teachers are subbing on their plan times across the district. Planning periods are critical time for teachers' mental health and just to use the bathroom. Again, substitute pay is lower. You won't hear any plans or solutions to address technology and resources. We don't have one-to-one technology, meaning we can't offer AMI days the way surrounding districts do. We're still using 20-year-old textbooks in some history classes. You won't hear any plans or solutions to address the looming fiscal cliff our former CFO warned about. Contrary to board actions, we can't cut our way out of this fiscal hole. Your strategy seems to involve creating a new cultural controversy each month. This allows you to easily dismiss opposition by suggesting that the backlash quickly subsides, all while diverting attention from the real issues. There's an election coming up in April. Vote for candidates who will focus on students, staff, and success, not bathrooms, books, and Black history.
Next, we welcome Alexander Collins.
Hello. Specifically, hi, Mr. Bertrand. It was fun running into you at Target a couple weeks ago. I was your cashier, in case you didn't recognize me. Hello, my name is Alexander Collins. I've been here for the last few months speaking out against the proposed bathroom policy. I was actually here before it was even proposed. Tonight, though, I actually wanted to talk about a different aspect of the issue. I wanted to talk about how scared I am, how hurt I am by the idea that we as a group of people are inherently predatory and creepy. And I wanted to talk about how misinformed this policy is. I'm not mad at you, because you're just people. You're people with hopes and dreams and families, and you make mistakes sometimes. You have vacation plans and grocery lists and spouses, and sometimes you need to run to Target to get some chicken, multivitamins, and cough syrup because your kid's sick and someone needs to put dinner on the table. Get some wrapping paper while you're there, get ready for Christmas. But what I really don't think that you understand is that we are also just people. We're kids. We have people who love us. We have dreams that go far beyond high school. We have cashier jobs that barely pay for our gas to get to and from school and work, and we're afraid for our safety every time we walk into a building we're mandated to be in. Me, my friends, their parents, you board members, Mary Jane Puskar, Francis Howell families, teachers, and teachers and students of Black literature and history courses. Everyone in this room is just people. And people tend to like to learn. We're naturally curious as a species. How I like to learn is in a classroom. I don't want to have to miss 15 minutes of my learning to go to the bathroom every day or twice a day. I hope that you people like to learn too, and I would like to reach out an invitation to you. I will be in this building all night. I would be happy to have a conversation with any of you. And that means anyone, board members, Vivian and Ken Gontars, Kelly Bird, anyone. I would love to have a civil, safe conversation with you about my experience as a transgender individual, your experience on this issue, anything. You can also reach me by email at collinsa3906@gmail.com. That's COLLINSA3906@gmail.com. I want to learn, and I really hope you do too. Enjoy your candy canes and happy holidays.
Next is A. Coletti.
Good evening again. It is disgraceful that we all have to be here once more, taking time out of our winter break, speaking to people who hardly listen to us unless we call to them like dogs. It's supposed to be a hearing, so hear us. Last time I stood here, I could see you rolling your eyes, thinking I was another student, continuing to drone on about transgenderism and the liberal agenda. But no, this is basic human decency. In my high school, we have RISE values: respect, integrity, scholarship, and empathy. I'm gonna say two of those real slow for you again. Respect and empathy. You think these are two easy to learn basic skills? Yes, students are constantly harassed, degraded, and threatened, and people like you who have power over us are doing nothing except contribute. Not to mention threatening a student via email over a civil rebuttal. Not only is our safety constantly threatened, clubs and classes that promote diversity, like Max Scholars, GSA, Diversity Awareness, and Black History, and literature classes, which are electives, that means they are a choice, are under constant attack due to these policies. The Friday after last meeting, I was approached by one of my principals. He asked me to recall every time I was harassed and bullied to record it, similar to what I attempted to discuss with you. I know he was just trying to help, but it put me in a place of vulnerability. I was shamed by our head principal for not reporting things that happen so often, even if it's hard to find time to report it. I can't go to the office for every single issue. I have places to be that are over halfway across the building, which could be up flights of stairs, across many hallways, through hordes of students. Humans by nature are inherently curious. We want to be notified of others' issues, views, politics, beliefs, purely to stay connected and educated within our communities. There is, however, a line that has to be drawn. You can't use personal opinions to limit our education. For example, I had a health teacher freshman year that instead of sticking to the written curriculum, she used her own curriculum and almost never went over birth control and mainly focused on abstinence. This is also not only unrealistic, but also a violation of the Missouri State curriculum standards. We as students have the right to be educated in a multitude of topics without being ridiculed for wanting to know more. Before I wrap this up, look me in the eyes. You are silencing us. You are choosing to ignore real issues, and you disregard the important, safe learning environment. So look us in the eyes and treat us as the people that we are.
Next, we welcome Harry Harris.
You did a great job. Just wanted to let you know that. Unlike that first student tonight, I am mad. Every board meeting this year seems to find a new way to lower the bar. I'm absolutely disgusted at the last minute ad of the removal of the anti-bias framework from the Black History and Lit classes, as it is obviously a thinly veiled attempt to undermine those classes. For over 2 years now, those elective, say that in capital, classes have moved along with just fine, with plenty of students who have stood right at this podium describing how it has impacted them and how great it has been. It was one of the most cowardly acts that I didn't even think you all were capable of stooping to. But you certainly taught me to not underestimate how low you will go to show your disdain toward the Black and brown community experiences and existence.
This year alone, I've listened to Director Puskar go on radio shows mocking the NAACP and proudly proclaiming her ignorance of implicit bias, thus it's not really a thing to her, despite repeated conversations with Cook and Bertrand about the importance of representation, since we already have a teaching body that is less than 1% of people of color in a district that is 15 to 20% people of color. They felt strongly about removing still the anti-racism resolution without being able to really explain why it was hurting anything. I was lectured from Mr. Ponder on how his 7-year-old didn't seem to find a need for a resolution on the wall, and all the people who came to speak that night in favor of it were just activists and didn't deserve to be listened to. Nor was there a new version months ago that was promised to gather people together and create. Clearly, none of you see that your actions have said loud and clear to us that you don't care about Black and brown families in our district. You have let the perpetual lie that somebody after me is going to come up and spread more like manure, that everything you don't like is Marxist or communist or whatever is that you're going to cling on to this month. You've been foaming at the mouth to take shots at the LGBTQ population, and when that didn't work, you circled right back around to swing on POCs at the behest of your benefactor. We got it plain and clear. But let me talk to you, all on the other side of that camera right there. We are a district in crisis. We have waning teacher numbers. We have low morale. We have dropping pay in comparison to other districts, overworked staff, buildings held together with duct tape and a prayer. But our board, would rather spend their time making up problems and engaging in culture wars. You and I and our children, we deserve better. And I'm asking all of us to stand up and let them know we're not going to take this any longer. Thank you.
Look at us.
Up next, we welcome King Gonchars.
Now for a positive spin. Board, superintendent, teachers, admin, and Jane. That Jane. Being the end of the year, it's time to reflect and give hearty thanksgiving to all of those who have done a yeoman's job to keep the Francis Howell School District among the tops in the state. To our teachers, thank you for your dedication, your tireless efforts, your devotion to our kids, preparing lesson plans, grading homework, and putting in long, arduous hours teaching our kids is extremely demanding. Your efforts are seen daily and are truly valued. To the admin, working collaboratively to harmonize all the pieces of the school district's puzzle is no trivial task. There are budgets, finances, payrolls, bus schedules, curriculums, facilities, building projects, benefits, staffing issues, and that's just the beginning. Yet, with all that to manage, you've succeeded in making all that work. Thank you. Superintendent Rompus, you are a breath of fresh air. How you've managed to keep a full head of hair while not going gray are secrets that I personally need to tap into. It's a pleasure having the head of our school district as professional, as capable, and as dedicated as you. Our community and patrons salute you. And Jane Hepler, with all the emails and sunshine requests that we've made over the years, including inducing major headaches, I'm sure, I'm asking the superintendent to bump your salary to just under his. Seriously, Jane, you have been a pleasure to work with, and I greatly appreciate it. To our community and patrons, thank you for your concerns, your involvement, and your support. Without you, none of this would be possible. Thank you for your part in keeping our great school district great. And to the board, reviewing what you have accomplished over these last 9 months, the list of accomplishments has been nothing short of impressive, and we will be speaking to that effect shortly. You pledged to support our teachers, to exercise fiscal responsibility, to promote academic excellence, to provide greater transparency to the community and parents, and to strive for common sense, back to basics education, and you have delivered. The pay could be better, the hours more conducive, and the pats on the back more forthcoming. But you know what? Your leadership, your resolve, your courage, and your concern for our students and districts are noted, appreciated, and valued.
Thank you.
Nice job,
Your time
and
is
thank
up.
you. And with that, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Up next, we welcome Jennifer Main.
Good evening. 3 minutes is not very much time. I'm going to do my best and talk fast. Let's start with transparency, because this is something most of the members of this board campaigned on. This board repeatedly adds items to the board agenda last minute, pulls items from the consent agenda last minute, and schedules important items for meetings that occur during breaks or when families are otherwise less likely to be engaged. I, too, am tired of hearing about items added to the agenda at the very end of the day, right before they're not eligible to be added anymore. Most recently, you added the motion to rescind approval for use of anti-bias academic standards the evening before a board meeting. This meeting is occurring on the last night before winter break. Feels like the board's trying to sneak things through without most residents noticing. When you do this, you limit the time district residents have to see those changes, reflect on them, and provide their feedback. It's not good optics, it's not transparent. Posting to private social media groups and discussing district business in forums where only certain members of the district can engage is not transparent. Additionally, use of private email accounts to discuss district business, board members inviting people to contact them via private email addresses because some are fearful of using formal Francis Howell communication channels is not transparent. In fact, it seems to me to be a direct violation of Missouri's 50-year-old Sunshine Law. Members who do this should be reprimanded and censured. Screenshots here, if you'd like to follow up, President Bertrand. Other public officials at the state level who have tried to circumvent the Sunshine Law have found themselves facing litigation. I'll use this point to bring up my next, which is this. Individual members of this board have shown a shocking lack of professionalism and decorum in their conduct in the community. As elected officials, you should be held to a higher standard. All of the residents in this district are your constituents, regardless of how they voted. The word opponent should not be in your vocabulary in reference to members of this community. You were elected to listen to and engage with everyone, even when it is difficult and even when you disagree. You have squandered opportunities to promote goodwill with residents of different beliefs. You have discussed compiling lists of teachers and librarians who you consider undesirable because they disagree. You have labeled individuals who disagree pedophiles and groomers. You have made students in marginalized groups feel other. Finally, your attacks on all things related to diversity are misguided and not in the interest of serving this district's students. Employers expect their employees to be able to function and engage in a diverse workforce. I work for a large Catholic-based hospital. We have a vice president of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, as well as a DEIB cabinet. My place of employment, founded on Catholic principles, recognizes that diversity includes not only gender and race, but also disability, cultural background, sexual orientation, and gender identity. This is the world and workforce we are sending graduates of this district into. We should be preparing them for it with all available tools.
Up next, we welcome Katie Rash.
I'm not planning to talk about the history and literature courses, except just to say that I do hope that we will do well in this district in teaching Black history and Black literature. These are important subjects. I see some of the issues with the way the courses were written and some of the standards, but I do hope that we can find common ground in that regard and find ways to prioritize that education. And also, my main topic for tonight was just related to the mythology course that has been in the district for a number of years, and the curriculum is being evaluated again. And I'm not opposed to the course. I just have something I'd like to share, maybe just a bit of enrichment or perspective regarding it. Tonight I'm going to quote several men who made significant contributions. What's the common denominator among these four people? They each believe literally in God as the origin or first cause. Another way of saying this is that they each believed in a creation mythology. I'm sharing this because the course on mythology being evaluated this evening contains a unit in which students study creation mythologies. I recognize there are creation mythologies in a variety of cultures and religions, and hope that all creation mythologies researched in the course will be treated with appreciation and sensitivity. Perhaps a discussion of famous people who literally believed in creation or creation mythologies would enrich the course and assist with helping all students to appreciate that people can literally believe creation mythologies and simultaneously make significant contributions to society. First, let's start with Dr. Raymond Damadian. He is the father of the MRI machine. This is a quote from him. If you've ever had an MRI, you can thank him. He's the one that invented the MRI scanner. He says, "I am a young earth creation scientist and believe that God created the world in six 24-hour days, just as recorded in the book of Genesis. By God's grace and the devoted prayers of my godly mother-in-law, I invented the MRI scanner in 1969. The idea that scientists who believe the earth is 6,000 years old cannot do real science is simply wrong." And I'm running out of time, but the other two were George Washington Carver, Sir Isaac Newton, the father of physics, and Carl Linnaeus, the father of taxonomy. I will post these quotes later so people who are interested can see them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we welcome Carrie Zulkowski.
Have you seen the TikTok that goes something like, what could you give a 40-minute presentation on with no preparation? I could stitch this TikTok and say that I would talk about all of the ways that the 5 Moms for Liberty-backed Francis Howell School Board members continue to push culture war issues and fail to make decisions to serve all students and families in the district. Well, this topic, or maybe Taylor Swift. Well, I don't have 40 minutes, and I honestly don't think my speech will matter. On social media last night, Director Cook said the decision to rescind approval for the social justice standards was determined by the voters of Francis Howell. Funny, I don't remember these standards being on the ballot. My son is in the Black History class. He sent you an email about what he has learned. I saw the email he sent, and I don't think he mentioned anything controversial. We have been talking about this class all year, but last night I brought out the Say No to Critical Race Theory handout that was distributed a couple of years ago by Francis Howell families. I asked my son directly about many of the terms on it. He said he learned about Black resistance in the context of civil rights. He said some of the coursework mentioned institutional and systemic racism. They did a project on an influential person. He chose Jesse Owens. You'll be pleased to know that he had not heard of the term intersectionality. Of course, I took this opportunity to discuss it with him about how intersectionality influences our identities. He said that this course is not that different from others. It built upon concepts he had already learned in classes including pre-AP U.S. History and AP Human Geography. He said this class supports books he's read, documentaries he's watched, and museums we have visited, like the Civil Rights Museum and the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Let's face it, this course is an elective. You can read the very extensive curriculum online with the social justice standards linked directly. If the board believes that this course is harmful, please be transparent and read the exact parts of the curriculum that are concerning. Also, what empirical data are you using to determine that this curriculum should be removed? Are you examining assessment data? Have you surveyed teachers, students, and parents? 5 of the board members here ran on the issue of parents' rights. How are you supporting my rights as a parent to decide whether my child can take this elective course? I have another high schooler who has not taken this course. If you rescind these standards, you are deciding for me. Why should students in other high-performing districts in the area have access to diverse classes and my children won't? What are you protecting my children from? Diversity, tolerance, injustice, inclusion? These are all values that I expect public schools to help me teach. This board needs to reframe and focus on decisions that affect all constituents, like approving an elementary math resource, improving transportation, focusing on staff recruitment and retention, and creating unity among stakeholders. Please stop the chaos and work towards supporting all students and staff.
And next, we welcome Kim Hutton. Kim Hutton.
Good evening. As I wrote to you earlier this week, my husband and I are disgusted by the blatant discriminatory actions of some of you, and those of you quietly supporting them. The things I've learned at the Board of Education monthly meetings are deeply disturbing. Ignoring a sexual assault of a transgender student in an FHSD bathroom, Director Pushkar's proposed bathroom policy perpetuating the litter box lie, her threat to investigate a student email account to silence them because they dared to confront her and express support for her fellow transgender students. And just late last night, President Bertrand's effort to remove Black history and Black literature elective courses. Before you vote on any discriminatory policies, keep in mind that your vote will be on record and searchable forever. Think carefully. It's not too late to lead our school district towards welcoming, accepting, and supporting every student. Vote no on removing the Black History and Literature course. Burn the transgender bathroom policy. Do the right thing and keep politics out of our schools. Francis Howell Families, the political action committee that purchased several of your seats, does not care about your reputation in our community. Francis Howell Families is behaving like a local homegrown hate group, and they've infected our school board. In my 60-plus years of living in St. Charles, I've never heard so much hateful rhetoric coming from any school district in our county. Representative Nick Schwartz does not care about your reputation either. Nick wants votes, and he'll happily take them at your expense. Think carefully if you proceed with a vote tonight. Everyone will know forever and always your involvement in discriminatory policies. You still have a chance to make this right.
Up next, we welcome Grayson Justice.
It's a shame that our school district was on the news in a bad way. 2 board members threatened a student with an email investigation about the anti-trans and non-binary restrooms and locker room policy. Just like the student about being silent, I too was silent around this summer by this board. I'm surprised that half a millionaire and leader of the far-right group, Ken Gozar, worried about the financial harm from these lawsuits that will jeopardize the district, even though you, Ken, and your group filed a lawsuit years ago. So what do you say about that? When the day comes to vote for this policy, you've got 2 roads in front of you. You can either vote no and give up this witch hunt on policies that will hurt a community of people, or vote yes and you will get these lawsuits, including the one of banning the resolution of racism and discrimination. By the way, have you folks ever figured out that one yet at all? I'm also against the Victims of Communism Day policy, even though communism is bad. But what about slavery, racism, homophobia, transphobia, gun violence, the Holocaust, and other horrible events that in our history books that was never talked about in history class? History teachers are already teaching about communism instead of having a full day teaching about how bad communism is. Vote no on this, and especially vote no on this ridiculous anti-trans and non-binary restrooms and locker room, and also the bombshell of erasing Black history and literature, because this will affect our districts. Happy holidays, and I'll see you all next year.
Next, we welcome Lori Leary. Lori Leary. All right, up next after Lori Leary would be Stephen Blair.
for students. That's it. Everything we do should be for students. And I have no idea what's the motivation behind the policy proposal today to remove Black literature and Black history. That's not for students. I'm not sure who it's for. It's not for the students who performed. It's not for the students who are in the softball. It's not for the teachers. It's not for the custodians. Everything we do should be for students. And it's not happening. Once again, there's a distraction. Once again, we're focused on another topic instead of what gives every student the very best education possible. Every student, each student. We can do that. But that requires us to move beyond some of this stuff. On December the 21st, the most important thing to some of you was to make sure some people cannot attend a Black history, Black literature class. That was on your mind on December 20th and 21st. Not about all the stuff we heard earlier about saying thank you to the teachers. There's other ways to say thank you to the teachers besides a high five from somebody who doesn't really mean it. For the students, everything for the students. And if you're not doing something for the students, then you don't do it. Then you're doing it for somebody else. So if you vote on this topic today, name before us transparently what makes it so bad. A couple of years ago, I saw a sheet that had all the different things in a book that made the book a bad book. You guys handed out and said, this book is bad for this reason, this reason, this reason. You're about to change a curriculum today without any description on what makes it bad. If it's so bad, transparently say it out loud. Say it out loud so we all know why it's bad. And if it's not bad enough for you to say it out loud, then it must not be bad enough to take it away. I attended Bryan Middle School, Seeger, Fairmont Winter Concerts. And not a single thing that you're talking about today is for any one of those students who are there. Not for the custodians picking up the chairs, not for the teachers also picking up the chairs. For the students. If you're not doing it for the students, then you need to tell everyone else who you're doing it for. For the students. Thank you.
FHEA. Any representatives from FHEA?
Good evening. My name is Anita Keener, and I am the elected president of FHEA. President Bertrand, could we please have an update on the resolution against racism and discrimination that you promised? FHEA is ready and willing to work on this with you. In regards to tonight's staffing plan, our teachers are drowning, especially our special educators. Of the board's 4 goals, with academics being your number 1, your number 2 was staff. Class sizes are on the whole larger than they were 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. Students have more learning gaps and struggling behaviors, and packed classes are not helping with either of those things. We need more teachers, paras, and custodians before a new director position or manager position. We also need to keep the highly qualified staff that we have. Goals without actions are no goals at all. How is this plan going to address that? When will we get back the 20 teaching positions that were cut several years ago, when teachers' salaries were last frozen? With nearly $30 million in reserves, what could you do right now to help the students of your district and your staff? All of our students and our teachers deserve to be represented in our curriculum, our policies, and our schools. Policy 0411 was put in place to prevent last-minute items being added to agendas without time for all stakeholders to study these items. Students have enrolled in courses in January for decades, so this issue would not meet the expectation for an emergency exception. How can we ever attract a diverse staff when every board meeting has some agenda item that marginalizes another group? Please vote no on tonight's motion to rescind curriculum standards. Everyone knows it is targeting to eliminate the Black History and Black Literature electives that our students asked for.
Next we welcome Svista.
Good evening, President Bertrand, our board, Superintendent Rumpus, Cabinet, and patrons. Firstly, FHSD would like to celebrate and highlight all of our teachers and support staff of the year nominees that were selected in their respective schools. All of you are the people that make magic happen in the buildings. We are so proud of your dedication to children, your positivity, and selflessness. You are heroes among us. Secondly, we're very excited for Francis Howell to fulfill their commitment to safety by hopefully approving the vestibule projects tonight that Saloon will soon be presenting. It's so important that our buildings are secure for our children. Thank you for all the work on this. Surely you all know Elliot Davis. Well, I scrolled across an article he posted 3 days ago about St. Charles County giving all staff from Christmas Eve to New Year's Day off paid. When I went to look at the comments section, I was so very pleasantly surprised. It was very positive. I scrolled and found an outcry of supportive, caring citizens. Everyone was united, supportive, and understanding. This season, the end of the year, the holidays, it's a time for love and peace, and sometimes it's hard for many people. This has been a huge morale boost to their employees and has even been a great recruitment tool. This is something we in FHSD have been adamant about for a long time. It's encouraging to see this practice taking place right here in St. Charles County. So what I take away from this is always be kind, be happy for each other, consider everyone this season. We wish you all the happiest of holidays. Winter break starts today. Take time to be with your family and loved ones. That's what's important, and have a great night.
Board, I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda for December 21st, 2023 as presented. Ponder. Discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. I'd like to discuss the item number, let's see, it's about the culinary stipends. I have an issue with this proposal. I don't see any quantification in it. It's asking for teacher stipends in the amount of $1,000 for high school teachers and $500 for middle school teachers for support, shopping, and just helping with the culinary showdowns, that meaning Cupcake Wars and I guess the type of Iron Chef program that we have. What I don't know is, and make no mistake, this is not about not supporting the teachers. What this is about is getting more information. What I don't know is whether we are asking to approve something for $5,000 or $50,000. I also don't see anything in this proposal that will tell us what encompasses preparation, shopping, and practice. I had thought that a lot of the practice or the preparation was done within a school class. I could be wrong about that. But there's no quantification. Are we talking about these teachers spending 4 hours, at which time, let's see, for $1,000 stipend, that's about $250 an hour, and I wish that I could make that kind of money. But I would like to know a little bit more information. So I'd like to make a motion that we put this off until January.
Mr. Bertrand, I'd be happy to share some information if and answer some of Jean's questions if I'm able.
That's good, yep.
Okay, okay. As we look to make the recommendation, the following things were considered. And Jane, I'll apologize if there wasn't enough information in the memo. We'll make sure that we do that a little differently next time, so you have that in advance. Our teachers were required to work 35 to 40 hours for this one event. It included 8 to 10 practices, necessary shopping, and 4 to 5 after-school planning meetings. The late night of the evening of the event, and then an evening debrief. So those 35 to 40 hours that those 3 high school teachers provided are similar to what we looked at as our extra duty salary schedule. So in comparison, a minimum of $568 is offered as an extra duty stipend for a sponsor or a student interest group that works about 18 hours per year. And then we also looked at those sponsors of essential activities. They typically work about 35 hours per year, and those stipends range from anywhere from $1,800 to $4,000. So we looked at those 2 things as we made this recommendation. We have 3 high school teachers that I believe participated in this one house showcase, and we anticipate that maybe all 5 middle schools would participate in the cupcake showdown. We want to honor the work that these teachers have done for many years. They have volunteered their time after school, working with students, practicing with students, and we just felt like this was the year that we really needed to show some value and appreciation and compensate them for the work that they're doing.
As I mentioned, this was not about not supporting the teachers.
Absolutely.
This is definitely about more of a quantification as to what we're approving here, because to me it looked like it was just a blank check. My other question is, why are the middle school teachers only getting $500 when the high school get $1,000?
They're not anticipated to work as many hours for the cupcake showdown as the one house showcase was.
Okay. Not as many, half as many? I'd like to see a breakdown of the hours spent for cupcake and for the culinary wars. I'm trying to be fair to the teachers. If we need to pay them by the hour, I mean, that's wonderful. If it's extra duty, it's extra duty. But I want to be sure that all teachers are treated equitably.
So we have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Would you like to have this pulled from the consent agenda for a secondary consideration?
I'd like to make a motion to remove it from the consent agenda for more consideration.
We have a motion to remove the 23-24 teacher stipends from the consent agenda as a second consideration. Do I have a second? Second by Director Cook. All those any discussion, board? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
Do a roll call.
Director Harmon?
No.
Director Lang?
No.
Director Pushkar?
Yes.
President Bertrand?
Yes.
Vice President Cook?
Yes.
Director Ponder?
No.
Director Stiglich?
No.
The ayes have it. All right, back to our main motion. A motion to approve the consent agenda for December 21st, 2023 as presented. So moved.
Second.
No, we already got that. We're good. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
Ayes have it. Next, we have individual action items. Up first is the financial audit. December.
Good evening, board. This evening, we are pleased to present to you the financial audit for the 22-23 fiscal year that just concluded. There is a requirement of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education that audits are concluded and submitted for the Board of Education to accept. Then we provide those audits to the department. This evening, we have with us Ms. Christina Jacqueline. She is a senior manager with Showalter Jabori that recently became HonCamp PC. And she worked with our team to review all of our data and is providing this report for you. I also want to acknowledge the work of Director Jacob Myers, our Director of Finance, and also Ms. Julie Walsh, who is the accounting manager, and the entire team in the finance department for their work with our auditors. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Jacobs.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you, Carol. As Carol mentioned, my name is Christina Jacquin, and I thank you all for the opportunity to present the results of the 2023 annual audit and the related reports that were issued. As mentioned, my name is Christina Jacquin. I am a senior manager with HonCamp PC, which up until a month ago was Showalter and Jabori PC. This is the 4th year that we have had the opportunity to work with the district. We issued 3 reports as the result of our audit this year. The first is the financial statements, which include the required state and federal program reporting. We issued a report to those charged with governance and a report on internal control. And after some brief comments, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. But first, I wanted to give a brief introduction to HonCamp. On December 2nd, 2023, Showalter and Jabori merged with HonCamp. HonCamp is a top 10 Midwest CPA and business consulting firm that is headquartered in Dubuque, Iowa. HonCamp offers over 40 professional services in the areas of accounting, audit, and assurance, and business services. And Showalter and Jabori is proud to be the St. Louis office of HonCamp, so our team is still local residents of St. Louis area. So back to the audit, the first report we issued is the financial statements. This is the important one. The financial statements are prepared by management on the modified cash basis of accounting. We provided our opinion on page 1. Our opinion this year is unmodified, meaning this is a clean opinion. It means that, in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in conformity with the modified cash basis of accounting. With regard to the federal program reporting, in the current year, 2 programs are required to be audited. The first was the Education Stabilization Fund, which mostly consisted of ESSER 3 this year, and the Special Education Program. During the course of our testing, we noted no material instances of noncompliance that we are required to report, or any matters that we consider to be material weaknesses or significant deficiencies related to either of these programs. The second report we issued is the report to those charged with governance, and this report contains required communications from auditors to the Board of Education at the conclusion of an audit. And finally, we issued a report on internal controls. It's important to note we did not identify any items that we consider to be material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. Our report also includes a section as to the status of prior year comments, and I'm happy to report that all the comments we had in the prior year have been implemented and corrected, so they were not repeated in the current year. I'd like to thank the district, Carol, Jacob, and all of their team for all their assistance to us during our audit, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Questions, board?
I just have one. Unmodified opinion, is that the highest, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We're like a motion to accept the 2022-2023 financial audit as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Pushkar, Director Ponder. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Thank you. Next, board, I'd like a motion to approve the bid recommendation as presented. This would be for our security vestibules.
So moved.
Mr. Stiglitz, Director Cook. Mr. Stetzer.
Good evening, board members. So before you, you have a recommendation to let bids for the 5 secure vestibules that the board has previously approved through the design work that's been presented to you. Those sites are obviously specified within the board, the motion, the recommendation. Construction documents and technical specifications are about 99% complete and are ready to be issued. Pending your approval this evening, the bid package for the board-approved scope of work would be issued on January 4th. And at the conclusion of a successful bid process, a recommendation would be brought back to the board for consideration and approval at the February 8th board meeting. Just a couple of things to note. Additionally, pending your approval, what we would do is release that package through the local newspapers. We would also utilize multiple construction plan rooms available to us to just say, again, the goal is to always try to get as much competition, general contractors to chase our work. That way we can hopefully bring down the projected costs. So again, before you have that recommendation, as of December 1st, we estimate, and we provided that to you through subsequent meetings, the projected cost for the work at the 5 secure vestibules, $895,483. Again, that's with the information that we had at that time. Bid day numbers will reflect what the actual cost will be. Be happy to answer any questions, but hopeful that you guys will approve that. That way we can release that bid package to the students.
Questions, board? Question on security? All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Next, board, I'd like a motion to approve the design development as presented. This would be regarding Henderson and Fairmount.
Again, board, this evening, this is part of our process.
Good.
Got it.
Lang. Ms. Stetzer.
Yes. Thank you. Again, here this evening we have Mr. Mark Ruther with Honer Architects and Mr. Wade Welch. We're here as, again, part of our process. We had presented the schematic design for these two, what we're calling phase 2 projects. And so we took the feedback that you guys had provided at the previous meeting, and we're back here again to provide the design development. We have worked with all the building leaders and gone through all of their feedback and tried to basically bring solid design development forward to you for consideration this evening. So Mr. Mark Ruther will present, and then we'll take any questions at the end. Mr. Ruther?
Thank you, Saloon. Board of Education, I want to take this chance. Thank you for letting us present. I'm going to jump right into things here. As Saloon had mentioned, we are going to present tonight the design development for Henderson and Fairmount Elementary Schools. And I'm going to go through a series of plans, floor plans, to identify the additions and renovations. And I'm going to go through site plans, which will include traffic flow revisions, and then updated cost, and then the project schedules for each one of those projects. Here, we're going to start first with the Henderson Elementary School. Existing conditions, I'm going to briefly go over skip over this because those do reflect the existing conditions, just as reference. Another plan for Henderson I want to just show is just some of the grade configurations of the K through 2, as well as 3 through 5 grade levels for reference. Next is the floor plan that I believe you had seen in the past. It's reflects the kindergarten wing addition, which is roughly a total of 9,000 square feet. There's a link of 2,300 square feet. The kindergarten wing addition is housed of 6 classrooms that will have storage and toilet facilities in each one of the classrooms. Secondly, I'm going to go down to on the eastern side is the gymnasium. The gymnasium also includes a link that has toilets in the link as you get into the gymnasium. The gymnasium is roughly 9,400 square feet with, and to note that the link there, the link right there is tied to align with the corridors. I would note that there is access from the gymnasium directly out, so in the event in an evening activities, the gymnasium can be utilized by itself without any people going into the existing facility. So it basically secures that gymnasium for an evening event, but also provides the toilets and access in to the facility. One thing I will also identify is that with this plan, we will reorganize the grade levels, bring the grade levels 1 and 2 over more in keeping with the kindergarten, and then 3 and 4 will move to the north, and the grade 5 will stay centrally located in the middle of the building. And again, as Sloom had mentioned, that all these plans had been reviewed with the administration and the principals on each one of the campuses to buy into how things were transpiring. Next, I want to go into the storm shelter. Each one of the buildings tonight will have a storm shelter that we're going to provide or share with you. The storm shelter, you can see in the kindergarten, it's the 6 classrooms that represent the storm shelter itself. The storm shelter is roughly 9,000 square feet and is large enough to provide occupancy for all of the occupants of the facility in the event of an event of any manner. Also, there's a generator to the east to provide any of the utilities, mandatory utilities that need to occupy for or go into force for 2 hours after that such said event. Next, we're going to go into the yellow areas of the building that represent the renovation for the building. And with the new additions, it's obvious to note that with the new addition, there's portions of the building that will open up for much needed and desired instructional spaces for key programs. So as we look at some of the areas that are renovated, there's ADA facilities of the low incident room in the special ed areas. There is centralized location for the nurse and speech reading rooms. There's an art room renovation, which will then also include storage and a kiln room just adjacent to the art room itself. Counseling and student services suite west of the cafeteria, and really west of the stage itself, but basically renovation of those areas again to provide the instructional needs for those spaces. Renovate the cafeteria, including an expanded serving line, and then also the existing multi-purpose room will have a music as well as behavior support.
Can I make a comment? Previously, I had discussed, since we love to dual purpose a lot of our space, by the gymnasium, I had recommended that there's a little spot that might be nice to put in a little bit of a roof and an extra room for storage. And I see there's 2 other closets that are further up, but I don't see the change that I recommended to be discussed. If you go back to your previous slide. No, not that one.
Go back this one.
Not that one. Yeah. What slide number is this? 9.
I'm not sure I recall.
I think it's 9. Slide 9, or that's what it's showing on my thing. So you look at this gymnasium,
Yes.
and they were
The new gymnasium?
Yes, they were talking about there wasn't enough storage space. So I had suggested filling in that small area between, I think, the mechanical and electrical.
Are we referring to this
make-
area right here?
Well, smaller than that, but yeah, and that right next to the mechanical and the electrical panel, I guess. Putting a door in there, putting in basically a closet for storage. Henderson is incredibly
That's exactly right. What we do have in that space in the gymnasium, we have provided, there's 2 storage rooms as well as 2 offices in that area as well. And I'm sorry if I breezed over that or I didn't identify that, but those areas are included in the gymnasium as well, with access to the gymnasium. By putting those storage rooms in the gymnasium, they have access, and that freed up space throughout the rest of the campus.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you explain how big that space is as far as storage? Approximate. I mean, no.
Approximately, they're probably 12 foot wide by 20 foot long.
That's
roughly.
plenty. Okay.
So, and these have been reviewed with the staff as well. But as I'd say, I did not. I mentioned that, but I apologize.
Thank you for the clarification.
Good question. I'm going to now look at the site plan. As you can see with the site, the existing site, we bring in and you start to see the location of the 2 additions, the gymnasium and the kindergarten. Go to the next. We then relocate soft and hard play surfaces to the west, provide and relocate service areas and utility entrances, which are key to providing service areas into the building for the new or the kitchen area and service areas for trash. Shifted a bus drive lane, which I want to call attention to right here. This area here is why we shifted the bus lane in order to provide parking up adjacent to the building, to provide safety, more of a safety issue to bring for ADA parking to bring directly into the building. So with that, you'll be able to see in the next slide where we start to show the circulation of first you see the bus traffic as it comes onto the site. It runs the perimeter, the bus route location as it unloads and picks up in the front of the building. And as well as the car route, again, very similar to what's out there currently, but by providing that service lane away, they was able to have that additional parking up next to the building and then relocated parking just to the east. We're going to jump into the estimates. Always a fun topic to start to get into. What we've done is we tried to identify through the yellow or the areas where I want to call attention to. And so basically what we've done as we get into the DD phase, we start to break down the square footages and look at things. As we get into more detail, we can then start to analyze some of the costs. So the interior architectural renovations did go, is increased from the October estimate, or the HVAC modernization actually did go down from what was previously presented. Fire suppression, the fire marshal has indicated they will require fire suppression of the building, which at one point in time we weren't sure we were going to, but because there's so much activity in the entire building, they will require that. So at this point we have added that in, and we've also put miscellaneous plumbing expense in there as well as we get into next levels of detail. Project contingency, because as we go through the project, we start to identify areas and we move the money around as far as to identify where those dollars are, we have been able to reduce the contingency somewhat from a 10% to an 8%. The design development, the schedule, I'm going to go through the schedule now. The design development, we're here tonight, and from with your approval, we will move into authorization to move ahead with the bid documents for March 21st, 2024 board meeting. At that point, we will then take the drawings for permit review and approval from March to April, issue bid documents, in end of March, bid date end of April, review the bid documents or then the bids, and also award the contract for a board meeting at May 16th of 2024. Begin construction would be planned for June 24 with a complete construction in winter 25. I'm going to move on to Fairmont Elementary School now. Again, the existing conditions. As you had seen previously, there's an addition, a one-story addition to the south side of the building. The building will house 6 classrooms, 3 music classrooms, 3 art classrooms, special education, toilet rooms, and vacation station. The addition is roughly 13,700 square feet. Next slide, I want to draw attention to the storm shelter. The storm shelter is the hatched area within the building, which is roughly 10,400 square feet. It's large enough, again, as in Henderson, to occupy all the or provide area for all the occupants of the existing building. It will have toilets and generator in the storm shelter space, and you'll notice just to the east, there is an area that's not in the storm shelter, and the purpose of that is to look at that design as it does not need to be as robust design as the other portion of the building. Just another way to try to find dollars and save cost on the project. It's not going to look any different. It's just not going to, as I said, not going to be as robust and not going to be the storm shelter itself. The renovation area, seen in the yellow, again similar to Henderson, as we provide spaces in the new addition, we can open up buildings to provide much needed space for the instructional space throughout the existing portion of the building. The expanded cafeteria, basically it's in the building, but we're trying to expand spaces to be able to get access into the space. So you can see with the red arrows, we're providing access out to the campus so we can reduce the circulation around the remainder of the building with more direct access from other portions of the building into the cafeteria. And then also the special ed areas to the east will be renovated, and then the other areas just show reassignment of classrooms around the building that open up due to the additional space. Next area, we're going to go into the site plan again. The site plan then shows to the south the addition, new parking on the north side, resurfaced parking in the east and in the west, and then a relocated parking to the south of the new building to provide access into the back of the campus. Site circulation is what's really going to help in the site circulation throughout the building. The new bus route will come in the rear of the campus with the new auto route that will come in and stack on the new parking to the north and then go to the east and drop off. So this entirely brings all of the, not all, but for the most part, most of the parking off Haley Avenue in the front of the building. So this not only will help with the congestion, but also by separating the bus and the auto from one another, the safety will be incredibly increased as well on the campus. Again, we're going to go to cost estimates. And again, as we get into design development, we start to identify areas through discussions with the administration, and we've gotten to the interior renovation of $500,000 $40,000, and then the safety and related site work in order to bring that site and safety on the campus increases that as well. Grandmont Elementary School, the design schedule, this one basically is staggered by 1 month. So again, today, looking at the design development, we will authorize bids a month later at April 18th of 2024. Permit review will go in at April and May to issue in early May, bid late May 24. Hopefully award review contracts with the Board of Education June in 2024. Begin construction July of 24, staggered by a month, and then also with a complete construction winter 25. So essentially it would come online roughly at the same time. That concludes our presentation. Do you have any questions or comments about the presentation?
I have a couple questions. I noticed why the new gymnasium at Henderson?
It's if you look at the operational day there right now the gym and the cafeteria basically function as the same space, and so they're actually moving down. If you recall, we presented back to you, I can't remember which specific board meeting it was, but we're having, they collect their food, they take their food in the current space, which is technically the gym, but they go down in the multi-purpose area to eat, roughly around 500 meter yards, but a fairly good distance, which presents operational challenges from a cleanup standpoint. And part of that is done partly because we also have gym classes potentially taking place at the same time. So by adding the gym, that will allow us to take the existing gym and make that a fully functional cafeteria that can adequately meet all of the various lunch schedules. And then, as you saw in the presentation, allows us to take that smaller multi-purpose room and convert it into a couple of spaces to allow those instructional programs. I believe it was BS building support services and music, giving them the adequate space to be able to offer the instruction necessary in that space.
So you're saying with the changes, the current cafeteria with any renovations in there couldn't function as a cafeteria?
If we do that, then they don't have a gym space.
I guess I'm not getting the court. So you have a multi-purpose room. So you're not really necessarily making any changes in the multi-purpose room, other than you're changing the name of it to a cafeteria. So it's just functionally too small?
Correct.
Just to maybe translate it, or sounds like the multipurpose room is used both as a cafeteria and as multipurpose / gym currently, and so this would give 2 separate spaces. Other questions, board?
I got one. Is the HVAC system in the tornado shelter is it going to be separate than the rest of the existing school in case of emergency? Does it like cut off and then circulate it, or its own return air and everything?
That is correct. We're currently working with our mechanical engineers to kind of design those systems, but yes, that would be separate from the rest of the building. If you recall, the rest of the building right now has the PTAC units that have given us a lot of troubles over the years, and they're working to, as part of the HVAC scope here, trying to come up with a system that is much more operationally efficient and much more robust than the existing PTAC units.
Yeah, I asked that because I was working on a Kirkwood school, and it was pretty interesting how it could actually be cut off from the rest of the school and then operate on its own as its own little wing, per se.
Yeah, so preliminarily right now for that addition, I think what our engineering team is talking really about having a standalone rooftop system for that addition.
And it would need to operate for 2 hours after that event, separate. So yes, it needs to be separate from the remainder of the building.
One question for maybe you, Saloom. At the new bus route at Fairmont, did anybody notice, maybe let the neighbors back there notice or notify them? Because I know that the house is back there really close to the road. I get it, it's school district property, but just so they're aware that there's going to be the buses coming kind of close to their backyard back there.
Yeah, we can certainly do that, but we never want to get ahead of the board, obviously, in terms of making, a recommendation. But at the appropriate time, we'll certainly engage with the appropriate people. I think this would be welcomed, partly because one of the challenges that we have there, as I noted at the previous schematic design, is we get a lot of complaints from the neighbors that are on, I think it's Lake Hill Drive. That is currently, it just gets stacked to where they can't even access their driveways as they're leaving to go to work in the morning, and as well as coming home at the end of the workday during dismissal. And so being able to kind of stack the vehicles off of, I believe, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, is it Thole Road? Thole, okay. Being able to stack the vehicles there, and we just have a little bit, it's designed to kind of handle that traffic in the event that it's just a wider thoroughfare.
And one more thing, we will have a gate there still, right, for at night, blocking it off. I know there was in years past, cars would go back there and do donuts.
Yeah, the gate is actually still there. We have not talked about whether it's going to stay, but if that's a board wish, we can certainly incorporate it into the next phase, pending your approval.
Thank you. Board members, as a reminder to you and to our patrons that the motion tonight is to just approve the design development phase, which would authorize Honer to move into the construction design phase. Under our new process that we introduced to you last spring, we would again bring at least one point during that next design phase the current drawings back to the board for additional consideration with an update of the current estimates, that the authorization is just to continue the work moving forward, not that it's a guarantee that everything will happen as designed currently.
One simple question. As far as the shelter, why does it make more sense since they require separate utilities? I'm sure you've considered it. Why does it make sense for the shelter to be in the kindergarten and the classrooms, not the gymnasium?
But Mr. Ruther.
One of the reasons we do that is you're not building as much volume. If you build a gymnasium, you're going to be needing to build a much larger volume of space. It almost gets to a point where you're dictating that it has to be precast concrete, because the masonry can't go to the levels or the heights that you need for the gymnasium. So if we can keep it down around 16, 18 feet, 16 really is pretty much that point you try to keep for masonry construction. So if you imagine you're only building the volume, the size, the square footage by the volume up high, so you're not building all that expensive or robust, I should say, space for the upper space of the gymnasium, which is it's just an expensive space. So that's why we've started to go try to incorporate more educational spaces that are just not as large.
I have one more.
Yeah.
So with that tornado shelter in the classrooms, I know that's a big school. Is that going to hold everybody?
We've done the calculations, and that's what we need, the square footage based on the occupants that are there, the entire square footage. It's really a pretty defined calculation based on how many occupants and how much square footage per student that needs to be in that space. So we can do that, and we usually put a little bit more space. We will go back and confirm that if you like, but yes, that space allows for that entire occupancy of that building. We would not want to build it and then have to come back and do any additional space to get any other occupants if it grew in any way.
Well, yeah, I only say that because I know you say the first two rooms out front are not part of the tornado shelter, so it's really what's behind them.
That is correct. We can do that, but we were just trying to find ways to economically look at it. And even if we had to make that a little bit bigger, and just to be able to get the occupants in there, so we don't have to actually do the whole entire building, it's just a way of trying to save dollars. But it'll still look the same from the exterior.
Just one quick clarification. I know we've talked about this before. The new building codes do require us, with any construction, to add the storm shelters. Is that correct? That is not something we can get away from or anything. That is a code requirement now, correct? I know we had discussed it, but I just want clarification of that.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
The bus drop-off and the parent drop-off change, is there any consideration given to the fact that there may be a need to limit the elementary bus transportation within 1 mile down the road? That's the consideration. It almost looks like about the same amount. I didn't measure it.
So what I can share with you, Vice President Cook, is we visited with our Director of Transportation, Jen Simpson, and much of the rerouting for the buses was part of her recommendation. So she's taking, those pieces into consideration.
Okay, I think the concern was that if we implemented the 1 mile boundary with elementary in the future, there would need to be more parent drop-off space. I guess just something to maybe talk about if we haven't already. Since we're doing this, I need to come back later if we need to add another 12 feet or something to a parking lot. The only other comment I have is that I know we're still just in the design development phase, but can't help but notice that the costs have gone up about $2.7 million. So since we have a finite amount of funds left, something's not getting done on the bottom of the list. I know we're still working on that list. Looks like maybe next month we will have that, but as always, I would just really encourage us to talk with those buildings and about what's really needed and what's wanted, because at this point, some other buildings losing probably several buildings are losing $2.7 million worth of work here from what we talked about earlier. So it's always a trade-off. So I just want, hopefully everyone working on this is mindful of that. That's something to keep in mind.
Certainly understand, and I think as we go through that, we've turned down through that process a lot of things that have been brought to the table for consideration. But if you'll also, recall, some of these are going to be code related. For example, that $612,000 addition for this fire suppression. That's the authority having jurisdiction that is mandating that, and we have to comply, obviously, as part of that. So we certainly are trying to be prudent with the resources that we have available to us. We're certainly not going to bring any recommendation that's filled with wants. Most everything that we're presenting to you this evening is true needs at those two respective sites.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments, board? All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Next, we have the finance report presented by Ms. Embry. We'd like a motion to approve the finance report as presented. Director Ponder, Ms. Embry.
Good evening again. Thank you, Ms. Hepler, for pulling that up for me. So in addition to the standard reports that have been posted for your consideration and also for public view, I have just a few highlights for you this evening. I've shared with you for many board meetings that I would be bringing you our multi-year trajectory projections by the December board meeting. So we are delivering that. Also, you will recall that when we presented the expenditure update that we did not yet have the medical fund performance evaluation completed, and so that is also included with a few other items as well. So this slide shares with you our discussion objectives. I just mentioned that. I'll be providing you context regarding the teacher salary schedule and also the potential cost increase of 1% on the schedule for teachers, or rather all staff in this view this evening. The next slide provides, again, that medical fund performance. And so the bottom line for us is based on the work of our team in conjunction with Marsh McLennan Agency, who is the broker that works collaboratively with school district personnel. We are expecting at this point in time a 10% increase in our medical fund performance for the year. Industry standard is showing a 7 to 8% increase, and at this time they're indicating potentially as it settles that it would be at an 8% increase. That shows you our fund balance, FY22 and FY23, and then we also have provided you context regarding July through November of FY23 and then the current year. So you can see in that we have reduced in our fund balance. For this time last year, we had $6.9 million in the medical fund account, and at this point this year, it's $3.6 million. There are a variety of factors that can impact that, dependent on claims. Certainly, if there are catastrophic events in lives of those covered, that can impact that, but we do also carry stop-loss insurance to assist us in protecting the fund. This next slide provides you perspective on the FY23 percentages, and we have limited for you here the base plan view. You can see that orange yellowish box represents Francis Howell. We have provided data from 5 comparative districts that we obtained. That's Rockwood, Wentzville, Pattonville, Orchard Farm, and Parkway. And you can see the distribution between employer and employee. EE is employee, ER is employer. And we are providing you information that for the base plan, we are covering at 100% of the employee cost. For employee plus spouse, we cover 73% and the employee covers 27% of that. For the children coverage, the district pays 70% and the employee carries 30% of that cost. And then for the family plan, the district carries 69% and the employee 31%. You can see we are very much alike, Rockwood and also Parkway. The other districts are somewhere in between that. This slide provides you with the financial perspective of what the plan costs for the year. And as you can see, the first column is the employee premium. The second column with the orange box around it is the district paid premium. That represents then the total annual premium, and we're showing you the members on each plan last year, with the final column representing the grand total of the cost. So as you can see, dependent on the plan type selected, the district is funding either between $7.9 thousand to just over $17,000 per employee. This provides you a view of the teacher's salary schedule, and as you can see, we have a 7-column schedule. 6 are available for placement. The Masters plus 45 is being phased out, so each year there's another darkened space. And then the Bachelor's plus 15, steps 19 through 25, are in a phase-out process as well. We have 25 steps in total. This provides you context regarding the full-time equivalency. We refer to that as FTE. We have 1,231 FTE placed on the schedule at the time this data was accumulated, and this represents the current year. Important to note that as new hires come into the system, they are placed in varying locations relative to their years of experience. We do suppress the amount of experience that teachers are allowed to bring into the system. If they are entering into their 1st through 7th year of teaching experience, they're placed at the appropriate step 1 through 7. For years 8 through 11, they are also placed at step 7. Years 12 to 13, they're placed at step 8, and if they have 14 years or greater, they are placed at step 9. So you can see, and I apologize, I can't see that number. It's like 215 or 217 are located at step 7. This provides context regarding the horizontal percentage increase or the vertical increase. So as teachers are moved vertically on the schedule, meaning awarded steps, they move 2% level, and that's flat across the schedule. The horizontal movement from each column as they attain greater educational experience varies, and those are noted for you as well. This shows you a comparative visual of our cohort rankings, and that includes the 5 St. Charles County districts. Also, we've added to this comparison Parkway School District, Pattonville School District, and Rockwood. As you can see, we have placement of levels 9 and 7 often in the bachelor's 15, and master's columns. We have very green columns for master's plus 30 and 45 in the doctorate. This does not account for the suppression of years as they are placed on the salary schedule. Then the reason we have 9 comparative districts in the bachelor's column is that Pattonville has a bachelor's and a bachelor's plus 8 for that first column. You also note that there's a variety of colors, and it's because to be 3rd out of 9 is better than to be, well, is not as great as being 3rd out of 7. So the color's more green. This provides you with the historical increases in step movement that has occurred in Francis Howell dating back to 2009 and has been monitored or accumulated by our HR leaders, current and past. And you will note that within this chart, you see that there are a multitude of years where no step increase was provided or no COLA or salary increase has been provided to the schedule. The 5-year average for this information in total, not including the specific allocation in FY22, is 2.59%, 5-year average. We also calculated what the cost would be to replace previous steps that had been withheld, and those averaged between nearly 1.1 million for each of those step replacements. So for your additional context and understanding what it takes to operate the schedule in our more than $230 million operating budget, this provides an all-staff 1% increase would cost just over $1.4 million, and then the step or step equivalency would be just over $2.7 million for all qualifying staff. I'm also highlighting that the Teamsters negotiated a 2-year increase, and their cost is noted as a footnote. So in order to provide you with the operating trajectory, meaning let's take a look at the lay of the land a few years out so that we know what decisions we'll do that are made today, how they will impact us in the future. And in order to do that, we needed to look at some of our primary revenues and make an assumption regarding the direction those would go. So this summarizes for you some of those primary revenues, and I will definitely mention, and I do this often, that this is all subject to change. We will continue to monitor this information and bring you adjustments as those are known. And so for the revenue that we've highlighted here for current tax, we are making an assumption that we would have a 2% increase for FY25, and that's also then for other years using a 3% increase in reassessment for years FY26 and FY28. So 2% in non-reassessment years and 3% in reassessment years. Regarding the state adequacy target, the $6,760 that is anticipated for next year. We have included that. And then for FY26 and beyond, we have indicated a 50% increase for the state adequacy target. We are not, at this point in time, assured that that will be funded, and so that's why we are taking a realistic approach to what we might provide for a long-term trajectory. At this point in time, we are remaining flat on WADA and Prop C. We know that Prop C usually grows. It's all relative to those retail sales. It's a 1-cent sales tax that was initiated in the 1980s, and as more information is provided to us from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we'll modify this as well. The other big change that's included within this recommendation for your understanding is that we are pulling out those one-time ESSER funds. We know that our fund balance percentage has increased relative to the one-time ESSER funding that was supporting us through the COVID pandemic. So not only ESSER, but there's ARP IDEA. There's a reduction for that of $124,000. The ESSER reduction is $4,086,000. And then there's a Paycheck Protection Retention Grant that is a primary revenue impact as well. So a reduction of $809,200. So when you look at this data, and again, not counting what increases may occur for Prop C and some other revenue changes, we are currently estimating that it would be an increase next year of $247,000, $252,000. On the expenditure front, our assumptions are basically including that 8% increase potential to occur for health insurance. We have no reduction in what is currently budgeted for unfilled support positions, totaling $3.27 million gross. And we are in the process, as you know, in working with our leaders and identifying all the needs throughout the system so that a prioritization of those may occur. So as we look at the operating changes, we've got the $2,179,000 for health. We've got some ESSER reductions and retention grant reductions. Those are included in that $1,000,003 reduction. And then other operating increases, we're estimating that those could potentially be just over $7 million. But that would need to cover not only salary and benefit increases or the taxation required on any salary increases, but also fuel for buses, supplies in classrooms, everything would impact the operating fund. This next slide provides you with our operating trajectory that, again, we committed to provide you. And what we have done in setting the district up for success as we look through this lens is ensuring that we maintain at a minimum that 15% fund balance, and that would be at the close of FY28. Again, the numbers will change, the data will continue to be updated as we have new information, and I'll show you now a visual that basically indicates that with the expenditure assumptions and the revenue assumptions that we have represented here, that includes the 8% medical, $7 million for all other operational needs that have been prioritized in FY25, and with those increases for revenue that were noted previously, that we would end again just above that 15% minimum through June 30 of 28. Now, noting that that is a downward trend, and we don't expect it to continue to play that way. We hope that we'll see some changes in revenue that will cause that to turn up or go flat. That would be the objective. So before I moved on to the next, do you have any questions about that financial piece? I don't know how to get back.
Questions, board? I think we're good.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jane. Okay, so a few other updates that impact the financial world. We are in the space where it's time for us to let the nutrition services bid. This is following the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education requirements for nutrition services. They oversee the bid requirements. We are required to have them review our information prior to letting those bids. and that would start in January. So this is a tentative bid calendar. It is an arduous task. You can see there that we will advertise, we'll have pre-proposal meeting, there'll be a deadline for questions, we'll provide answers, and then the sealed proposals would be due in March, early March, March 8th. And we'll conduct interviews as is needed, and then be providing you with a recommendation April 18th, 2024. This next slide highlights safety planning. You'll recall that there was a safety grant that the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education allocated to Francis Howell, and that is a $300,000 allocation that must be expended and liquidated, meaning we make claim on those funds by May 20. So we will need to expedite that process. Things that qualify do include security vestibules, but only if the work is completed and the check has been cut. So we're able to claw back though and identify any expenditures that have been processed since July 1 or beginning July 1 of 2023. And so that identification process is underway. One of the items under the 7,500 recommendation is the site mapping project, and that helps us have a very succinct, detailed mapping structure to inform emergency personnel of all the things they need to know relative to providing assistance in a building, and it is a standard safety recommendation typically. We're also exploring the cost of safety film, upgrading cameras, and upgrading communication devices as well. Dr. Salvo is not here this evening, but she will be leading the safety task force that meets on January 9th, 2024, and more information will be coming forward to you following that meeting. My last slide is relative to Proposition S, the bond fund planning. You will recall that in September, that the 21st meeting, we provided you the available funds that had not yet been committed, and that was $84,222,972. We did have, and as you know, you approved the move forward tonight on the security vestibules, and also Henderson and Fairmount underway. So those are included there. The available funds number, I'm showing a change for you. That's increased up to $85,167,772. This is a change in interest income of just over $1.6 million. Also a change in the arbitrage refund estimate. So remember when we discussed that in September as well. So an increase of 1.6, but a deduct of nearly $700,000. Net change is $944,800. And we are proposing that perhaps a work session next month would be a great way for us to discuss the options before you. That concludes the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Do you know the question regarding the film or the safety planning for the film? Do you know how many schools that would include?
I don't have that information with me,
sorry.
but I can phone a friend and we can send that out to you.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
More to come.
Yeah, I know.
I know that they were looking at I believe all the exterior, so it likely would touch, a number of buildings.
Yeah.
Those that have already had security vestibules completed, I think would.
I might make the recommendation that in those schools where there's no SRO, might be a priority.
Hey, Carol. Thanks for the presentation. I have a question. I'm just curious. Has the district administration had any discussions or did any research on the possibility of bringing the nutrition services in-house?
We have not had that conversation. I will tell you, first I'll tell you that the firm that we work with currently, Sodexo, does a phenomenal job. Over my 30 years of Missouri school business, I mostly experienced in-house nutrition services, and at my last district, actually, we had outsourced custodial and nutrition services, and we did bring custodial back in-house. But as I explored analyzing all of the work that goes on to make that system work, there are so many requirements of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and when you have a national firm that this is what they do, they are very connected, and more easily able to ensure that we are in compliance with all of those nutritional requirements, all of the nuances that come with receiving funding for that program.
Yeah, I know there's like pros and cons to everything, but we were just looking for some more possible work for like Lisa's group.
Well, sure.
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Carol, just one thing, and I know you and I have talked about it, and Dr. Rumpus and I, but for the other board members, really, it came to my attention just recently that last time the district went out for a tax increase, and which failed, as we all know. One of the things that happened was that freshman sports, with the exception of football, their games were cut to half as many games. And this is something I learned just recently, and I don't think it's a very large cost impact at all. Something I think we can easily reabsorb now in our current situation here. So I guess I don't know that any board action would be needed. I know that we've talked about doing it in next year's budget, but there are some kids there's a whole freshman class that's playing sports now, and those kids practice hard, and I think anything our athletic directors can do to make that work and increase those number of games this season would be much appreciated by the students and parents, I am told, and I believe myself. So I think I would support that. Again, I don't know that there's a board motion needed, but just something, if we can empower those athletic directors to make that happen. Maybe they can't, maybe there's MSHA stuff, maybe there's scheduling. I'm not going to pretend to know half of the logistical pieces there, but by all means, if that's something that can be done, I would support that.
I will tell you, we actually, Dr. Rompus and I participated in a meeting today. The meeting was already scheduled. We had an opportunity to join the high school principals and also the athletic directors, and I will say that the greatest challenge is working out the logistics in terms of space and supervision and a number of things. But we will continue to evaluate that and determine if that needs to, how that might come forward as a budget prioritization.
Great, thank you.
Can I piggyback on that a little bit? I think also with them cuts that year, I think there was also some transportation related to extracurricular activities. And I'm not sure if we ever reinstated it, but maybe look into that as well.
That was another part of the discussion. There's an understanding there were several decisions made in limiting the budget that was spent on that, and part of it was a decision to only transport students to events within a certain mileage. And so looking at that, looking at fees charged for activities in athletics, looking at the schedules are all part of the discussion that we engaged with in today's starting.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion back then. I remember it was like they needed rides too, but then a lot of times the parents met at the game so they were able to ride back or carpool. There was a whole bunch about it.
Additional questions, board? All right, motion on the table is approve financial report as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Board would like a motion to approve the purchases over $7,500 as presented. Pushkar, Ponder. Any discussion, board? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Board would like a motion to approve the additional certified positions as presented.
So moved.
Director Stiglich, Pushkar. Any discussion, any questions, board?
President Bertrand, can I just offer one comment? I just wanted to let you know and the board know that this particular position is not included in the 23-24 staffing plan or the plan that we have presented to you for 24-25, is we did not want to assume your direction. So if approved this evening, that FTE will be added into those accounts for both a position that has been approved for this year as well as continue into next year. And we'll get that updated when we bring the plan back to you in January for a vote.
Questions, discussion, board? All All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. The board, I'd like a motion to rescind approval for the use of academic standards titled Social Justice Standards, the Teaching Tolerance of Anti-Bias Framework as published by Teaching Tolerance, a project of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and any curricula developed using said standard effective July 1st, 2024.
Second.
All right, guys, I would like to amend this motion, please. I'd like to amend this motion to keep the Black History and Black Literature courses while a new Black History and Black Literature curriculum is being rewritten to the board's majority standards.
If I get this right, you'd like to amend the motion to add keeping the Black History, Black Literature courses until new ones can be created.
Correct.
I'll second that.
A second from Director Stiglitz. So we have a motion on the floor to amend the motion to read rescind approval for the use of the academic standards titled Social Justice Standards, Teaching Tolerance, Anti-Bias Framework, as published by Teaching Tolerance. Thank you. Teaching a project of the Southern Poverty Law Center and any curricular developed using said standards effective July 1st, 2024, except to keep Black History and Lit until new ones can be developed. Maybe the language needs to be a little modified. But. Discussion board?
Yeah, I have kind of a lot to say on this subject. So let me start with, we have a curriculum committee. I would love to know if this was brought forward to the curriculum committee and what their input was on this. And I would also love to hear from Superintendent Ken Rumpus what he feels is if this is something that we need to move forward with for our district.
I got a clarification. So are you asking him what he thinks of my
I want to know.
my
I
amendment?
just everything in general. I mean, this is obviously this was a pretty hot topic when with with everything. It was added to the agenda last night at 6:30 or whatever time it was added, and nobody has had a chance to look at this. I want to know if our administration had a time to look at this. When were you guys informed that this was coming forward? Because if we're not informed, I can't imagine that you would have been either.
The administration works for the board, not the other way around.
I'm sorry. If somebody has something to say, could you say it out loud? Because I couldn't hear that.
I'd like to make a comment.
I don't think that's.
It's not. Okay, that's fine. I just want to know. I just really want to know when and if our administration was part of this decision, or we have a curriculum committee for a reason. Was this brought up? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Director Cook, you're part of that committee. Did you have this discussion with the curriculum committee? That is a board-approved committee?
There's a committee titled Academic Advisory, and then there's a subcommittee that looks at curriculum. And no, it was not discussed, either of those.
Then why do we have the committee if we're not discussing this with them?
Well, the committee, suppose I'd have to direct you to the written purpose of it, but generally it addresses new curriculum.
But doesn't it also, I mean, I think we've got more things coming on today. Doesn't it also deal with making changes to curriculum? Or?
I'd like to make a statement to Director Stiglish's comment. Actually, the curriculum committee and the academic advisory committee both report to the board and serve for the board, not the other way around. I understand that they can be an integral part of developing and/or approving curriculum. However, the board retains the right to make decisions without them.
How is that collaborative? I'm just trying to understand. I thought that that's what we do here. We work together as a team. We put ourselves on these committees. We put ourselves on these committees so that we can work with our people to develop what people think is our teachers who work so hard to develop this stuff. Why aren't we considering what they have to say if we're not even addressing it to the curriculum? Then why don't we, as a board, why don't we just start writing all the curriculum? I'm not an educator. I couldn't write curriculum if I wanted to. I just don't understand. I understand that we're an oversight board, that we have to approve some of the curriculums that come forward. I don't see how we can just come through and just make changes at will. I just don't understand that.
Director Stiglich, I'll just tell you that to take this to a curriculum committee would not sway my vote. The committee would vote if they voted not to go forward with the motion that we have here tonight. I would not be swayed on this item. I value the curriculum committee on certainly a lot of things, but on this item, my mind is made up already. It's been made up for 2 years. So wasting everyone's time in committee would be a waste of their time, because the board, I don't think, will be swayed by any opinion of the committee.
For the last 2.5 years. Point of order.
But I understand that part. I understand. I'm not here to sway your vote. I'm not. I'm here to ask why we're doing this now. Before we go on Christmas break, 24 hours before. If this was so important, why wasn't this brought up sooner to the curriculum committee so that our administrators, our teachers, our students have a chance to look at this and decide what's best for them? That's what I don't understand.
So I can speak a little bit to how it came about just into tonight's meeting. I know Director Cook kind of brought it forward to me. I wanted to make sure I ran it by Dr. Rampas, and so we're trying to get a conversation together. Obviously, our schedules are a little busy, so it's not always easy to do. And within that conversation, we talked about, do we postpone it to January? And then we discussed that by the time our meeting happens, enrollment happens on the 15th, and the potential disruption that would cause it based on the vote or the outcome of this vote, and decided to go ahead and bring it forward tonight to try to prevent that disruption to scheduling and whatnot.
Who's the decision for you and students?
Sorry, I understand that part, that we have open enrollment starting in January, but we also have kids that don't register school until February or whatever. If this is something, I think that our public and our community and our staff and the people that have worked so hard on this deserves a chance to come back, and we need to hear what they have to say. I just think just by willy-nilly changing it, because I understand, Vice President Cook, that I'm not going to change your vote. I understand that. But I would like to at least include other people in this decision, without just, because otherwise I just feel like we're not being inclusive at all.
So, I would add that I know that was one of my concerns about the timing of everything.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, it was one of my concerns about the timing of everything, which is why I wanted to talk with Dr. Rumpus, and why I tried to put out there that we made this update. And I was glad to see the other community members did the same and threw it out there, made sure people communicated. And I think I got more commentary across the board on this from the public, and obviously from commentary today. Large majority, or at least a majority, a good amount of people have heard it more than I've seen in many things that we've had go on this board. So I was at least happy to see that people did come out and people did know that was added to the agenda. Outside of that, I would say at the end of the day, it's the board's responsibility to dictate curriculum, and make that judgment call. Not, we take the advice, but at the end of the day, we are responsible for it.
It's always been the direction, under the recommendation from our superintendent, from our director. Why do we, and again, I'm just asking the questions, why do we pay our superintendent and our chief academic officer that kind of money when we're going through and telling them what they can and can't do, when none of us have that experience? Are we telling them we don't trust what they're saying? Is that what we're saying? We don't trust what Dr. Rumpus and Dr. Buckman are doing because now we have to go in and say they can't use these standards because it's against what somebody else feels? Is that I'm trying really hard to understand this.
You are also not elected to control people.
My amendment, so this was put on about, I guess, 5:45. I didn't even see it till somebody told me about it. And then my job don't allow me to do any research or do anything, so I rushed home today and was trying to think of things. So I get it. You have the votes to get rid of it. But so me jotting down this at least keeps it in place instead of voting tonight to say that they're not going to have anything. So this gives you the opportunity to rewrite it, or whatever part of it you don't like, or whatever, have it. Because the motion as it sits, and you have it, if it passes as written, come January 18th, a student will not have Black history and Black literature to choose from in their in the course catalog, correct?
Just a point, or it's actually next year.
Next year.
Yeah, so we have plenty of,
No impact for this year.
we have plenty of time to develop a new curriculum for next year.
So, but my amendment would have the current one stay in place until that one's in place, instead of just getting rid of it. We'd still have that until that point in time.
We have from now until next September to develop a new curriculum.
Well, I think we need to talk to Dr. Buckman about how long that would take if we take Chad's route.
Yeah, I would just offer that course registration starts January 15th, as I don't know who, somebody pointed out. And so the course, if you vote to remove the standards and we remove the curriculum tonight, we would remove those two courses from the course enrollment guide because essentially we have no board-approved curriculum for those two courses. And we won't put a course in the course enrollment guide if we don't have a board-approved curriculum for it. So when students go to register for their courses, they wouldn't be able to choose those two courses for next school year.
Right.
So if we were to pull a team together or come up with an option for those courses for next school year, and if the board were to approve that course before the school year started, we would have no students enrolled in those courses to run them. So even if we were to get something put in place before the first day of school, there would be no students enrolled in the courses.
How many students have enrolled in these courses this semester?
This school year, we have about 100 students between the two. So I think we have about 60 kids in the Black History course and about 40 kids in the Black Literature course.
Let them learn.
Let them learn. Point of order, please. We were trying to have a meeting. Additional discussion, board? Ron, I see you.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm trying to figure out exactly what we're on here because I'm seeing.
Voting to amend the motion here. This is what discussion on now is, should we amend the main motion and then after that, then we'll discuss the main motion. We've kind of gotten a little off track.
So, and then the book that I borrowed from you that I'm reading, what part of this curriculum standard are we talking about here? What book was I? What part of the curriculum am I reading?
I don't know what book you
I don't know, it's a history book of the, maybe it's the Black literature or Black history course itself that I'm reading.
I apologize, I'm not sure what book you have.
Do your homework.
I am doing my homework, that's why I'm reading the book that we're talking about.
Point of order.
Good time.
It is the Black History textbook, Mr.
It
Harper.
is the Black history textbook, okay. So that's part, and then the second class would be a writing course?
The second class is an English-based class
the Black Literature course.
Other commentary?
I just like to say that once again, the committees and the superintendent and administration work for the board, and the board has the final decision to say.
So right now we have a motion on the table to amend the motion to include keeping the Black History and Black Literature courses until new ones are developed.
Correct.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. No. Noes have it.
Can I have a roll call?
We can do a roll call.
President Bertrand.
No.
Vice President Cook.
No.
Director Ponder.
No.
Director Stiglich.
Yes.
Director Harmon.
No.
Director Lang.
Yes.
Director Pushkar.
No.
Thank you.
Go back to the main motion to rescind approval of the use of the academic standards, title Social Justice, Teaching Tolerance Anti-Bias Framework as published by Teaching Tolerance, a project of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and any curricular developed using said standards effective July 1st, 2024. Any additional discussion, board? Seeing no additional discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
Absolute no.
Noes, or ayes have it.
What a dark day.
Next, we have preliminary staffing recommendations from Ms. Simpkins.
Point of order. Can't argue with the plan.
Yeah, right.
Board. I'd like to present to you. I'd like to present to you our preliminary staffing plan for the 24-25 school year. Tonight we'll just present the plan, and then at the end of the presentation I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have or listen to any comments that you might like to provide. And then our intention would be to bring the plan back to you in January for final approval. Executive Cabinet began discussions about the staffing plan in early October. Mr. Delaney, our Director of HR, and I began to meet with each district and building administrator as we developed an initial plan that was reviewed and modified by our district leadership team. Throughout conversations with each leader, we shared the intent of presenting a status quo staffing plan with only minor changes if deemed absolutely necessary for the work of the organization. However, we also took notes on all of the general needs and desires that our leaders shared with us. If we were to include every request, we would be presenting a very different plan this evening. The plan would include an increase of approximately 35.5 certified FTEs and 23.5 support staff FTEs. After much review and conversation, we are presenting a plan that includes an increase of 13.5 certified FTEs, and we have worked to reallocate staffing when possible and eliminate vacant positions with a goal to do the work differently. Overall, the plan presented will reduce support staff FTEs by 6.89, although changes do increase the salary budget slightly. I just want to remind you that each year we request a small amount of contingency staffing in our plan. These are additional positions placed on hold and only used as necessary. For example, should enrollment in certain buildings be higher than expected, this contingency staffing allows us to quickly address the need. In some cases, small amounts of contingency staffing are used to make master schedules work or to purchase teacher plan times if additional sections of a class are needed. If the contingency staffing is used during a current school year and it's necessary for that position to continue into the next year, the position is shown in the plan as an add for your approval. So we don't carry that contingency over each year. It is removed after each time. The request to use the contingency when it is asked of our leaders is scrutinized heavily, as we know we have a small amount to meet the needs of the district. So these are our overall certified big ideas. We have an overall addition of 13.5 FTEs, and I'll work through the list just giving you some information and rationale for each position. We'll start with the recommendation to add an assistant principal at Harvest Ridge Elementary. The student population in that building is projected to be 615 students for the 24-25 school year. The building is currently staffed with one principal and one assistant principal. The level of administrative support was reduced for the 21-22 school year when enrollment was projected to be around 580 students. Teachers and staff have commented on the change in administrator support since this position was reduced. And now with the increased enrollment and due to the high needs of the building, a transient student population, and a large special education population, administration recommends aligning the number of administrators to other sites with the addition of this one assistant principal. In comparison, another building is projected to have 619 students and is already staffed with 3 administrators. The additional cost of the position will be approximately $116,250, including the salary and benefits, assuming an entry-level salary for the new hire. In regards to the .17 content leader FTE, there has been a focus on prioritizing and updating Francis Howell's curriculum. The academic team has worked to create a plan to better align the content leader positions with the upcoming curriculum work to be completed. A .17 FTE is needed to complete the plan and create a .5 science content leader. Currently, science is completed by our math content leaders in their respective levels. Given that science is a uniquely tested area, this position, the science content lead position, is helpful and would hold a science certification and perform the same duties as the other content leaders. The additional cost of a .17 FTE will be approximately $13,260, including salary and benefits for the FTE. We are also requesting an addition of a 1.5 FTE to support the creation of a dean/assistant activity director at each high school. Administration has reviewed the workload and time commitment required of our high school administrators. Of all of our high schools in our benchmark districts, a total of 23, all 3 Francis Howell high schools are in the top 6 when comparing student enrollment. Our district places a significant emphasis on student engagement and attachment, as this has a direct correlation to attendance and academic achievement. All 3 directors run very robust programs to engage our students. Our high school administrators are required to support those evening activities by providing night supervision, and during the day, our administrators are often pulled from the instructional work to support student crisis and disciplinary situations. Their workload increased when the full-time dean position was eliminated for the 21-22 school year. Administration is recommending that we add a split position, part dean, part activity director assistant, to support the day-to-day work with students. These positions would receive a teacher contract paid from the teacher salary schedule with additional days and a stipend as the full-time dean positions did in the past. Staffing at the high school level was reallocated, and a 1.5 FTE in teacher staffing is needed to create the 3 positions. With the additional days and the stipend, increasing the total cost of about $143,471, including salary and benefits. We're also asking that a 0.5 FTE at Union High School remain. Union supports students needing alternative setting at the high school level and those serving a suspension. In the 22-23 school year, the Alternative Learning Department added a classroom to help students with anxiety and associated conditions using ESSER funding. The classroom aims to reduce the number of students requiring homebound services and helps them to build tolerance to the regular school environment. The need still exists, and administration recommends including the staffing permanently. A 0.5 FTE is necessary. High school students are identified for the program based on recommendations from their school, from outside counselors, and district mental health specialists. The additional cost of this 0.5 would be approximately $39,000. We are also asking for 5 teacher FTEs to create middle school math interventionists. Currently, the district provides reading interventionists at the middle school level. This allows for a strong focus to support those students who are underperforming in the area of literacy. We have 13.83 FTEs that are moved across the 5 middle schools based on student data for literacy. To begin to provide similar support for students in the area of math, we're requesting these 5 FTEs for district-wide math interventionists. The interventionists will teach 6 interventions classes each day with small groups of students using the board-approved middle school math intervention resource. Data will be monitored from students who are placed in the intervention to see the impact of the position over the school year. The cost of the 5 teaching positions is approximately $390,000, including salary and benefits. A .34 FTE is being requested at the middle school level for classroom teacher. Each year, as administration creates the staffing plan, projected enrollment and classroom FTE is reviewed. FTEs are moved from one building to another to support the changes in enrollment, with the goal of creating a staffing plan that aligns classroom teachers to the student ratios across all 5 buildings, while also considering the DESE class size requirements. To accomplish this goal, we're requesting that .34 in classroom staffing. The additional cost would be about $26,250 for salary and benefits. We're also requesting 4 teachers at the elementary level for classroom teachers. It's really the same process. We look at the student enrollment that is projected, and then we move those teachers either by level or by building to support the DESE class sizes or the range that DESE provides to us. To accomplish all of that, we're asking for 4 FTEs at the elementary level, where we see that class sizes would be a little bit higher than what we would expect. 4 positions would be an add to the salary budget of $312,000, including salary and benefits. The last one on this list is a 1.0. We are looking for ways to support our students in light of our paraprofessional staffing shortages. So we'd like to allocate 3 vacant paraprofessional positions at one building and move that into a special education teacher position. This allows us to see a different candidate pool and support the students in a different way. The salary and benefits cost associated with that change is really $0, as we'll eliminate the 3 positions in order to create the teaching position. I just want to share that as we look at the plan and look at next year, we are always moving staff around and reallocating resources. So we will move staff from building to building as we go through the plan. That is classroom positions, that's special education positions, our English language learner teaching positions, and even our interventionist positions. As student data and enrollment come to light, those positions will be moved as we have better academic data. These are the proposed elementary class averages that would be part of this plan. So this slide shows the average class size per level at elementary. And then I've also shared with you DESE's minimum and maximum class size averages that we have to work within. We always aim to fall between that desirable and midpoint when we're creating the plan. We will have a range of class sizes across the district, anywhere from 18 students in a classroom to 26 students in a classroom. However, because there are just some pockets of higher ratios, we'll have a kindergarten at 20 and 21, a first grade at 22 and 23, a second grade at 23, a third grade at 25, fourth grade at 24, and fifth grade at 26 within this plan. Class sizes at the middle school and high school level are difficult to determine at this point in the process. We create a staffing plan based on classroom teacher to student ratio, and this plan sets the average student to classroom ratio at middle school at 22.04 and high school at 23.98. The calculation does not take into consideration teacher plan time, nor does it consider students who may be placed in special services, virtual learning, early college, etc. Actual class sizes at these levels are difficult to project with any calculation, as student enrollment in courses and the creation of the master schedule really dictate how many students are in a classroom. But staffing is provided for each building based on the ratio calculation, and our building administrators are tasked with creating a master schedule and a staffing plan that meets the needs of students and stays within those DESE class size guidelines. And those are shown also on the slide there for you as well. We feel with the level of staffing that we're providing in the plan, our principals can keep their class sizes at that level. But should a class be a little bit higher than what they've expect, or they have more students enroll in a particular class, that contingency staffing becomes helpful, and we can utilize that to support the building and lower the class size. Want to switch over to our support staff. We do have some proposed additions in 24-25. And really what we're looking at doing here is reallocating staff. So I'm going to share with you these positions and the cost of these positions, but I do just want you to know the next slide is going to show you some reductions of vacant positions that will offset the costs. So that's the next slide coming. The custodial foreman position, we have a district of 150 square miles with 23 school campuses to clean and supervise nightly. Currently, a custodian manager is scheduled during the day and a foreman in the evening. This level of staffing makes it difficult to adequately support and supervise the 111 custodians working across the district. A second foreman will allow administration to divide the district in half. Each working foreman will be able to visit and supervise their buildings more frequently and provide support when positions are vacant or absences are experienced. The additional cost of the position will be approximately $52,569 with salary and benefits. We're also requesting a technology technician. So much of our work is dependent on working technology. An additional technician is being requested to provide support across the district, especially when vacancies and absences occur. The additional cost of the position is approximately $60,137, including salary and benefits. We're asking for 2 additional occupational therapist positions, a 1.26 FTE. The district is experiencing an increase in students who require occupational therapy as defined in their individual education plan or IEP. The additional cost of these 2 positions is approximately $129,972, including salary and benefits. A 1.0 Deputy Superintendent Administrative Assistant position is being requested. Currently, the Superintendent's Administrative Assistant is responsible for supporting the Superintendent while also holding the position of Board Secretary and Custodian of Records. As the Custodian of Records, this position is responsible for responding to all of the subpoenas and sunshine requests that are received by the district. The number of requests has grown significantly over time. When the Deputy Superintendent position was created and the interim CFO was hired, this position started supporting these individuals as well. This includes managing the clerical work of the Policy Committee. Administration is requesting an additional chief-level administrative assistant to cover all of these responsibilities noted above. The additional cost of the position would be approximately $56,088, including salary and benefits, assuming an entry-level salary for the position. A 1.0 purchasing manager is included in the plan. Based on the conversations during the special Board of Education meeting held on December 11th, the position is included in the staffing plan. There is a need to increase compliance in following all board policies and regulations relative to purchases, increase competitiveness by ensuring district bids are marketed to qualifying vendors, and seek alternative purchasing methods when appropriate. Possible cost savings could be realized through exploring other purchasing options allowed for public education, including bulk and coordinated purchases. After reviewing the duties and responsibilities with the Executive Cabinet member responsible for supervising the position, she feels it best aligns with the manager role. The additional cost of the position would be approximately $134,865, including salary and benefits. A 1.0 homeless and foster care coordinator is included in the plan. For the 23-24 school year, ESSER 3 funds were used to support a full-time social worker position to coordinate efforts connected to unhoused students. With the loss of ESSER funds, it's recommended that this 1.0 position be added to the plan. Buildings notify this individual when students are suspected to be homeless, and the social worker then meets with families to ensure they have the support needed beyond what a school-based educational support counselor has the time to provide. They coordinate transportation and ensure clothing and food resources are in place. This position also manages donations the district receives and allocates them to families across the district. Transportation billing back to other districts also flows through this position. For the 24-25 school year, if approved, the position will also manage state-required foster care components, which include best interest determination meetings. The additional cost of the position would be approximately $77,610, including salary and benefits. Finally, a 0.5 FTE or 1 additional parent educator is also included in the plan. Enrollment in our parent educator program is increasing, and in order to meet the needs and serve those families interested, administration requests increasing the staffing here. The salary will be reimbursed through the state program based on the visits that are completed. So the total cost of these ads would be $559,524. However, as I mentioned, we have some positions that are not filled that we would reallocate the salary and the FTE to support those requests. So the positions that you see here on the screen are vacant positions. There is not an individual who would lose their position. And as we looked to create a status quo staffing plan with minimal impact to the overall financial budget, it's recommended that we eliminate these vacant positions and reallocate those resources to those on the previous screen. Those that supervise these positions and are responsible for these departments have been consulted and agree with those changes and understand that the work would need to be done differently. The reductions allow us to reallocate $550,505 to the salary budget, so making up for those positions that I shared with you on the slide before. I added this slide. These are the positions that were supported with either grant funding or ESSER funding, and I just wanted you to see that they have either been eliminated or they are being requested in this proposal if we're asking them to move forward. So just wanted to be transparent in how these positions were either eliminated or added to the plan for your information. So our totals in certified staffing with the addition of 13.5 FTEs, that would be an increase to our salary budget of $1,040,502. I'm not as good as Carol with those numbers. The support staff, although it is a reduction in FTE, it is a slight increase in the salary cost, $9,019 for the total there that you see on the screen. And I would be happy to listen to your comments or answer any questions that you might have.
Bus drivers. I know that they're in short supply. Can we really do without 4 bus drivers?
Yes, we've had lots of conversations with Ms. Simpson, and with the changes in routing and the changes in transportation, she feels that we can eliminate those 4 positions. They're vacant. We haven't had them filled, and so we can reallocate those in a different way.
And I'm sorry for missing this, but what was your cost for the support staff? You were going too fast for me.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
So the change is, it would be $9,019.
Okay, and then the technology technician?
Oh, it's in the cell. Let me get there. The technology technician, $60,137 with salary and benefits. So that includes that taxation that Carol mentions about insurance costs, Medicare, and our retirement contributions for the position.
I assume Ms. Embry has been made aware of these numbers?
Absolutely.
We have discussed these, yes.
Yes, it's one of the things, it's the balance, right? I wish that we could meet all of the needs that the leader shared, as I said earlier, but we also know that we need to be as aggressive as possible when we talk about teacher salaries and support staff salaries. We have fallen behind, as Ms. Embry shared in her financial presentation, which makes it difficult for us to recruit and retain our teachers. And so in an effort to be mindful that we need resources to be as aggressive as possible in salary increases for next year, we tried very hard to bring you a status quo plan, but there are some needs, and there are a lot of needs that we are not addressing in this plan because of the limited resources. But we tried to meet those that we felt were most important to continue the work of the district.
You accomplished your goal.
Thank you, Jane.
This content leader FTE of 0.17, is this going to be someone who's a teacher now that's going to peel off for a few hours to do content leader work?
It's a 0.17 that's needed to make the plan work. We've reallocated and adjusted some staffing. So it won't be somebody that's a 0.17. The 0.17 is needed to make the 0.5 science content. So it'll be a 0.5 science content lead position. And that position may spend half the time in the classroom and then half the time as a content lead.
Is this a one-time just for this year since there's science content?
At this time, it would be included in the staffing plan going forward. It's not a 1 year only.
I also don't understand the 1.5 teacher FTE to support a dean, assistant AD. What does that person do? I know I asked a question about it, but I still don't know what the dean would do.
The dean is like what we've had in the past as an administrative intern at the elementary level. The dean is it is an administrator, has administrative responsibilities, might work with students and handle disciplinary situations in the building. In the past, they have focused on discipline for students, but this would be only a part-time position. So they would spend half the day in the office supporting the administrators, working directly with students with disciplinary issues, most likely. Then the other half of the day they would spend in the activity director's office, supporting all of the work that happens in that area. So we reallocated staffing as to not come forward and ask for a 3.0 FTE to create the positions. We were trying to be very resourceful, and we looked at reallocating staffing. So all that is needed is the 1.5 to make the positions.
Okay, so there will be three people put into that position full-time.
One at each high school, full-time.
Who handles I assume the other assistant principals that handle discipline now among high school students?
They have an alphabet typically that they have a section of students, and so they'll have to rethink how they might do that work. But yes, our assistant principals, our associate principals, they all have some hand in working with students in crisis or students that are in disciplinary situations.
What will they do if all those responsibilities are turned over to the dean?
Well, I think that we've had this dean position in the past, and they absorbed that work. They are doing instructional work. They're getting into classrooms more often. They're evaluating and supporting our teachers better. They're able to respond to parent phone calls better, faster. They are working through all the logistics of running a high school, whether that is some of our administrators are outside in the parking lot supervising car duty and drop-off and pickup for a portion of their morning before they go into the day. So I think it just allows them to have some time in their day to focus on some of the other things that they have been unable to maybe provide as much attention to without the dean position these last few years.
And then lastly, the 5.0 middle school math interventionalists, presumably the math scores among math learning among students would improve here. Is there any, you mentioned that we will monitor data, which to me just means we'll test it and see what it says. Is there any sort of metric that that you've considered to justify these positions? I mean, we get a 1% increase in student learning, is that worth the 5.0? And clearly, if we get 20%, it's great. Is there any other districts that have added these interventionalists? Have we looked at that? I guess my question is, what can we expect here?
I think there is, from what my understanding, there is a smaller pocket of students that are struggling in math, and we don't have the resources and the availability of staff to work with those students. If they need an intervention, we are struggling to get that into the schedule. And what happens is likely then we are pulling a teacher from the regular core math department so that they can provide some interventions, and then our regular math classes are higher in student ratio. So this would allow, these individuals would teach 6 sections of interventions a day. They would likely have 12 to 15 students in a section over the course of 6 sections throughout the day to really meet the needs of those kiddos that are struggling in math. Dr. Buckman and her team will monitor the data and look at the student growth that those students have over the course of time so that we can determine how well the positions are providing support. It's very similar to what we're doing with our reading interventionists and supporting students in literacy. We don't have a great system to support our kiddos who are struggling in math at this time. And so this is our way. We're asking for the 5 FTE, not the 13.83 that we have in literacy, but this will give us an opportunity to try try out the positions, make sure that they're working, and if we find that they're not helpful or supportive, then we can come back and modify the plan in a future year.
It was also important to us that they weren't one position guaranteed for each building, that these would be 5 district-level positions similar to the reading interventionists, which would allow us, based on the academic team, based on the analysis of the data, to reallocate and move them around as necessary. So if one building is having a lot of success or has fewer students with that need, it might be that that person shifts to another building or a 0.5, and to allow us that flexibility. And making it clear then to a building is, as a group, we would hire or identify this group of 5 teachers so that they would know they could be moved into these positions, may not exist forever.
Which is how we staff the reading interventionists.
Yeah, I think it's great to add. I'm in support of adding it. I guess I just want to monitor over time and know what would constitute a success here. The other, in the back of my mind, I've thought about it as we're improving, I hope, elementary reading. It was my hope that the staffing of interventionalists in reading would come down and we could proportionally put that back into math, but I don't think that's going to happen fast enough for this year. The other, well, we'll talk about reading at another time, so thank you.
Additional questions, board? Thank you, Ms. Simpkins.
Okay, I'll bring back the plan in January for your approval. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Ms. Embry and refunding debt service obligation. Exciting topic.
Good evening, one last time. So we have provided for you information regarding a refunding opportunity or a refinancing opportunity. When you think about when interest rates are lower, you might refinance your home and ultimately spend less in interest. And so this is provided for you as information this evening. At the January meeting, you would be provided a resolution that would basically authorize the sale. This would affect the 2016 general obligation bond issue, and it would result, based on the recommendation, in an accelerated payment plan. So we could attain savings with a level payment plan that would result in us paying this debt off at the current maturity date of March 1, 2029. But an accelerated plan would pay the debt off March 1, 2026. So with this, there is a par amount that is available to be refunded or refinanced of $20,850,000. The analysis has been prepared for us by Stiefel Public Finance, and it could result in an estimated cumulative savings of $1,587,969. That's all based on current market information and will certainly potentially change. I should note too that the levy for the debt service repayment would remain constant at the previously approved 67.13. That will continue to be analyzed. And during that meeting in January, when the resolution would come forward, it is actually called a parameters resolution, and I'll just read for you that which is posted. It would authorize the sale and delivery to occur later. What that does then is empowers the team to watch the market and then enter into that sale at the right moment. The final series selected for refinancing will be subject to the parameters, including a maximum interest rate on the new bonds, a minimum savings threshold, and a maximum maturity. And for your context, the minimum threshold for savings is set by the state of Missouri and the Missouri Direct Deposit Program at 1.5%. So this represents nearly 7% of the total bonds that remained outstanding at June 30. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions, board?
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So January for the resolution, then they would likely come back in February with the actual sale information for your approval. Thank you.
Next, there's a number of curriculum items for first read. I don't know if you have commentary, Dr. Buckman.
Nope, I have nothing to say.
All right, so community, please take a look at that and give feedback. There are also a number of policies and for first read for the community to review and provide feedback. There is one board motion to approve the modification of Regulation 3165 as presented. This is a motion around purchasing, or a regulation around purchasing. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the modification to Regulation 3165 as presented. Second. Pushcart or Ponder. Discussion, questions, board?
I would, since I missed that meeting, I tried to watch some of it online, I would like to know why we're keeping the 7,500 curriculum. If we're gonna do this, why can't we just do it across the board? I would think that that's gonna be even harder for our finance department to keep track of.
We can go 0 to 25,000.
Right,
From what I understand, we're still keeping the curriculum, for anything curriculum resources at 7,500.
Yeah, it looks like
Did
basically,
we change that?
you say, can we change that?
No, did we change that?
So it looks like from the workshop that we had earlier this month, it looks like the change was the majority of things at 25,000, excluding curriculum resources, which will remain at 7,500.
So I'm asking, why are we keeping the 7,500 for curriculum? Why don't we just do it all the way across the board?
I believe one of the reasons that we thought about doing that was because of transparency, because the curriculum resources are supposed to be posted, and it's just easier to keep track of if we have to approve each one. Right or wrong, right or
But aren't the majority of them over 2,500 anyway? 25,000?
That, I don't know. Honestly.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Okay, it's majority, but there's still the rest of it that still has to be tracked in order to be put on the website for transparency.
There's a fair number between 7,500 and 25,000. Certainly, the majority are over, but there's some important things between 7,500 and 25,000. And as a board, our main duty is to the students, and those curricular things are the things that are presented to the students. And I think for the board to have oversight and review of those is important. I believe it's important to the parents and the community that elected us. So I think it's important to keep those curricular things where they're at this time.
I agree with Director Cook. The other thing is, one of the important things that I want to bring to light is that we need to have a continuum in our math resources, and I don't know that we have that right now. I mean, I don't know that we have a continuum, meaning the resources that we use for Algebra 1 are the same throughout the district.
I think that's a separate discussion than what we're
Okay.
discussing, or on the motion. Other discussion, comments, board? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
Ayes have it. Now we are to superintendent comments. Dr. Rumpus.
Thank you, President Bertrand. Board members, first, I just want to state that regarding the vote to rescind the curriculum standards, I want to say on behalf of myself and the district leadership team that we do value the courses and the content that is in those courses and believe that they are important to continue to offer to our students. We're committed to finding a way to do that in a way that hopefully the board would be supportive of it and that we can bring back because again, we value them and we think they are important to continue to offer for all of our students throughout the district. I want to draw your attention tonight that there were two new items under information on the agenda. One is our college and career readiness report, and the second is the middle and high school enrollment guides. Both of those have previously been consent items in the past. The college and career readiness report is actually an optional district report that the academic department puts together each year as they review data. So we moved that under information. The other one is the course enrollment guides for the middle school and high schools. These are put together annually by the academic department, reflecting any changes in course offerings that might be new that the board has approved. And while the courses are listed in there, they're actually much more robust than just that. They include a lot of information for our students and parents about GPA, honors and awards that might exist, virtual options that are out there. There's a lot of information. And when we bring it to the board and ask for your yearly approval, ultimately there's a lot of edits and changes that happen to those informational pieces in between when the board approves it, when registration happens, and then throughout the year. It's not a nothing in it requires approval on an annual basis because the board would be approving any courses that are already listed within it. And so that's why we're putting it as an informational item now. Our plan will be each winter to post it there with any updates so that you have an opportunity to view it as well as the public. Again, any changes to the courses that you would have approved, and that's why they would be in there. That will allow us then to make edits throughout the year to some of the more informational pieces to make it a really living, breathing document that we can edit ongoing, not waiting until the following year when we can ask for board approval again. So we're happy to answer any questions about it, but it's listed there under information. Some celebrations. Yesterday I had the opportunity to speak at the St. Charles Regional Chamber of Commerce meeting at their annual awards and yearly work. I was really honored to be able to celebrate and brag a little bit about many of the great things that are happening in the Howell district. It's a great opportunity for us to share positive things in the district. One of the Francis Howell Central Choirs was there to perform. Norm the Knight and King Leonidas were also there from Howell Central taking photos with a lot of the business leaders in the community, so that was fun. On Monday of this week, DESE released the Public School District and Charter School Annual Performance Report scores to the public. And I continue to be proud of our district's continued notable success on many of the key metrics that the state uses. The report really reflects the collective efforts of all of our teachers and educators throughout the district, our staff, and all of the students and the hard work that they're doing each and every day. And while we celebrate many of the achievements that are in there, we recognize that there is still a lot of work and there are areas that require ongoing attention and continued improvement. And as we look ahead to 2024, we're excited about those opportunities and challenges and recognize that is our work. And we're committed to continue to provide a high quality education for all of our students. And we know that with the community's continued support, we'll be able to build on the success that we've had. I want to celebrate and thank our Alternative Learning Department. Last weekend we had another successful community resource fair that was held at Francis Howell High. This has been a tradition in the district for over a decade now. In addition to outside agencies coming that provide services ranging from assistive technology to recreation, mental health, transition planning, and more for our students, it's also held in conjunction with the Special Olympics, and we have a lot of other student volunteers from throughout the district to come to help. It's really a great event. I want to thank all of the firefighters at Central County, Cottleville, and the City of St. Charles. They came together and the fire departments and firefighters made sure that hundreds of our students throughout the district will have warm coats for this winter and stylish coats. And we really appreciate their ongoing support they do for us throughout the year. And this is just another great example of that partnership with our first responders. I want to remind everyone we have an amazing board that volunteers their time for this work, and right now is the opportunity to sign up if you're interested in running for the 2 positions that are open for next year. Filing actually closes at 5 p.m. on Monday the 26th. The district is closed, but Ms. Hepler and I will be here to welcome anybody else who might want to come in that last hour from 4 to 5. It's the only hour that we're open that day, but we will be here. You're welcome to come join us if you'd like to spend an hour on December 26th. And then today was the last day of school before winter break. We heard a lot of thank yous at the start of the meeting. I want to reiterate that to our entire staff, the incredible teachers, support staff, that it takes a lot of work to make a district run and run well for just under 17,000 students, and we have an incredible staff that's doing that each and every day for all of our students. While the district is not completely shut down for the next week or so, I do hope that everyone has an opportunity to rest and relax and has a wonderful holiday season, however they choose to celebrate. And we will be ready to welcome Sean and all of our other amazing students back to school on January 3rd. Thank you.
Board comments.
Sorry about that. I'd like to once again be thankful for this opportunity to be here tonight, be up on this board with all of you. I know that a very big decision was made tonight, and while I may not ever understand some of your reasonings for the voting that the way you did, I do have to accept that decision. And I do truly hope that in some way, some form in the future, there is some form of that class that is offered again. Because I do believe truly that there is a value to learning about not only just other people, other ethnicities, but just learning in general. I have always been, the curious type. I've always gone out of my way to learn. And one of the most rewarding things I've ever learned about was about the African American culture. And now I might understand that not all of you, I'm not going to criticize you or, put accusations on any of you of being any way that you are. But I do truly hope that you believe in your decision and it wasn't made on a whim, but also that decision is open to the future possibility of a returning class or just a returning recognition of it in general. Thank you.
Just say that I'm not opposed to teaching Black history or teaching Black literature, books written by Black authors. Far from it, actually. I am opposed to teaching it through a social justice framework, and that's really what was done the past 2 years. So that said, I do think it was a big vote. It's one of the things that I campaigned on, and I think it's important, and it shows that the community can come together to make change in a school district. Who knows, maybe in 2 years the change will be the opposite way, but for right now the changes did come. I know a lot of people, many of whom are here in this room, work very hard to do what we all feel is best for students in the long term. So appreciate everyone's help along the way, and I think it's if the courses are rewritten, I am certainly open to that. I know there's a lot of other curriculum writing work going on, but if someone's able to find time for that, then more power to you. So with that, hope everyone get some much needed rest, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
I just wanted to say what I think is happening in Francis House, sad. That's my opinion. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, and see you all next year.
The comments board? No? Sean, I'd like to thank you for being here. Probably one of our most talkative board members, which I appreciate. So thank you for all your commentary. Really appreciate it. I would second Vice President Cook's commentary of the Black History, Black Literature courses. Those can come back under the standard framework of how we do other history and ELA courses, and we're happy to revisit that. And then have everybody have a happy holidays on a well-deserved break, and we'll see you next year. Board like a motion to go back into closed session. Board like the motion to go back into closed session. Second, Director Pushkar, Director Cook. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.